sir. What up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Blood Splatter Chatter with the missing link here on a bonus Blood Sunday to finally do our top 10 horror movies of 2024 and the first annual Bloodsie Awards. We'll be giving out some awards at the end of the show after the top 10. We are going to do just some fun stuff like best screenplay, best kill, most entertaining, aka the Popcorn Award, best practical effects movie, cinematography, best performance, best villain, scariest movie, and worst movie, aka the shittiest movie that we've seen. At least I kind of avoided most of the movies that I'd heard were extra shitty, so I didn't see any that were absolutely awful, but I did see some stinkers, and I assume you did too. So what up, my brother? So glad that we could do this. We've been trying to over like the past 3 months, meeting every other Sunday, doing a 2024 double feature. So we've covered, I think, the majority of these movies that we'll be talking about today. The most of them we've done shows on.
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. I can't believe it's finally here. It's just funny. Like once you made the post with the list, I was like, Jesus, man, because I know before that we were kind of like, man, we didn't really see that much this year. It's like we saw a few things here and there, but it's like when you made that list, I was like, Jesus Christ, like we saw like 2 years worth of new horror movies. You know,
I felt like I was slacking most of the year. I kept at the beginning of the year, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch everything as it comes out, and then like especially at the beginning of the year is when they're releasing kind of the worst shit, the most forgettable stuff. And I was hearing so much negativity about most of like the movies that were coming out that I was skipping a lot. But we've been playing catch up.
Yeah, I've realized if you double up on something, and you're consistent with it, great way to play catch up. Because
totally,
I didn't even like when we started the two movies, and I don't even think we got every Sunday. We did like mostly every Sunday, but there's a few Sundays we might have missed.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even think like I was like, all right, we'll do a few movies, but it's like we did like 20 plus movies, man. Like
crazy.
I'm proud of that. Yeah,
I think we covered 24 new movies in 2024. I wanted to just because I have this list up right now, and one of the things that we've mentioned a little bit is like this is a year we've had less franchises. We got a couple, Terrifier 3, Smile 2, maybe some other ones, but there's been, and you pointed this out some months ago, there's been a shit ton of original ideas, and it made me think I wanted to go and dig up. I never did a show on it last year, but I did slap together a 2023 list. So this is just a little reminder of what last year was like. And this is a loose list. I didn't I had it number 1. I'll just go through them from top to bottom. When Evil Lurks, Talk to Me, Totally Killer. I think a lot of people would disagree with that being as high as I put it. Evil Dead Rise, Scream 6, No One Will Save You, Infinity Pool. That wasn't 2023. Exorcist Believer, Life Birth. This is what I'm saying. Like once you get down to even 5 or 6, there's popular movies like Evil Dead Rise and Scream 6, but not like the really quality movies that I feel like we got in the second half of this year. There's some bigger ones. There's some cool, fun movies, but once we do this list and compare it to the last year's list, I think it's no comparison. 2024 is a real standout year for horror.
No, yeah. Even some of the movies you just listed off for 2023, like I could see why they might not be why, like you said, Totally Killer might not be for everybody. But then there's a few that you listed that I was like, I'm kind of ho hum on that I know other people really enjoyed, but as opposed to like the last half of this year, like I don't see like it, out of our top 10 list, I think it'd be hard to argue that there's no enjoyment to be had out of any of these movies, even if they're not your type. So I think that says something about the quality of movies compared to last year.
I think the top 5 are like semi-timeless too. Remind me at the end of this, I want to ask you which one of these movies you think will have the longest life that people might be talking about 50 years from now and things like that. Because that's, you know what I mean? That's really the stuff that can get big now that will be forgotten in a year or so. But without any further ado, man, we got a lot to get to today, so I say we just dive into it. We'll be going back and forth. We each have a top 10 list. And then again, at the end of this thing, we'll be handing out some awards for all sorts of different categories. I'm really excited about that too. So let us dive into it, man. I know I had a tricky time what I did, I made a whole list of nominees. I had like 20 some movies. I kind of loosely ranked them all. And then I just said, fuck it. And I just really quickly ranked my top 10. You know what I mean? I'm like, what do I think? Like without,
What came to yeah.
and I didn't do too much like editing after that. I really tried to also, we normally do like our favorites, which is what this is, but I really kind of considered what I thought best was more than I do with some of the other lists. You know what I mean? Like I tried to like hide my fanboy a little bit and temper it for certain temper it for certain movies, but I tried to think more of it as like what is really the best film. Kind of.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
have my personal taste to it, but
My I'd say the bottom half of my list is more universal, but towards the end, the top five, I'm getting a little biased. It's like
yeah.
I'm pulling from a lot of how much these films have me engrossed in them or captivated by them. But no, I feel like it's a universal list. Like I said, even if my top five, I might feel strongly about them, but I think it's
Mhm.
hard for other people not to like. Well, I didn't like those movies.
Well, I'll look at right now, and we'll get into it right after this. But just my top four or my 10, 9, 8, and 7 are movies that just my buddy that is into horror movies, he likes a lot more mainstream stuff than I do. He didn't like any of them. He didn't like any of them. So that, you know what I mean? But then again, he doesn't like, you know what I mean? He's a bit of a normie. He watches a lot of horror, but if it's, indie or kind of like a slow burn, he's not into. So there is, you know what I mean? There's some of these that are pretty popular though. But let us dive into it, man. Kicking it off with the Missing Links number 10. Let's hear it, brother. What do you got?
This was a tough one. I even make 10. I offer it. I'll go VHS Beyond. I think it was a return to form for the franchise. Very fun. I was torn between that and Azrael because I like. Unfortunately, I didn't make my list.
Mm-hmm.
I really respected what they were doing, but I think there could have been more done with the premise in Azrael. But I love VHS Beyond. I thought it was fun, a return to form. I thought most of the shorts in it were watchable, as
Mm-hmm.
if I feel like they had fallen away from that over the last couple of years where you'd get like one or two. But majority of them were enjoyable. So yeah, VHS Beyond.
Hell yeah. That was one of the movies that kept popping in my head that like I want to get on this list because I feel like it's not going to be on
It's
many people's lists,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
enjoyed the shit out of it. I enjoyed it more than I enjoy. I haven't seen them all, but every VHS that I've seen better than the first one and the second one, like 94. I'm not that big of a fan of found footage in general, but that one
yeah.
was super entertaining, and we have it. It's not on my list. It was one of my. I had it at number 12, but it is in the category for popcorn award as far as we'll decide whether it's the most
Oh, Beyond.
entertaining. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it'll be competing with Smile 2, Alien Romulus, Abigail, Terrifier 3, and The Substance when we get to
Strong
that.
list.
But hell yeah, man, hell yeah, I loved VHS Beyond, so I'm glad that made your list. I will. All right, so my number 10 is the movie that at one point when it came out, this was my number one for a hot minute. And then it got blown out of the water by a lot of movies that followed it. But Late Night with the Devil, a Shudder original, which this was a huge year for Shudder. They've
Yeah.
got a lot, like there's 3 Shudder original foreign films that aren't on my list because I never got around to seeing them that are making a lot of other lists. Exhuma,
Oh
Stop
yeah.
Motion, Mads, and
Which
Devil's Bath are all foreign Shutter originals. One of those might not have been foreign. That stop motion might not have been. But anyway, what's
oh
it?
sorry. Matt's the one you sent me the trailer
Yeah,
for.
that German one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that looks
it's got like a 90 some on Rotten Tomatoes. But Late Night with the Devil, dude, it's speaking of original ideas. This felt so unique. Like, and speaking
yeah,
of
yeah.
slow burns, it's weird and it's kind of awkward and like empty at times because they're showing you what late night television was like in the 70s, and it wasn't as like fast paced and like laugh tracky as it is right now, but it creates this like really unique found footage atmosphere that is just there's not other movies that are really like it. Downside in it was the ending. I didn't love the ending. I don't think you loved the ending. It kind of felt rushed and it wasn't like the tightest of scripts, but the acting was fired. It was just like a cool, unique, different ass movie.
What's the dude's name? David Matt. I can never pronounce his
Yeah, I
last
don't know, Mastacholi or
name.
something like that. I don't know.
But
But he's great.
it's like, yeah, I am. You know, that film could easily, like, if you didn't have someone as charming as him or as great as an actor, I think that film could have easily been super missable or just bad. And the fact that it was as entertaining as it was, I think that,
Right.
it's a lot, more power to him. But yeah, your number 10 pick was actually my number 9.
Oh, look how well that works out. All right, all right. Which
No, yeah, I thought it was a little slow burn, but I think if if you stick around, it's a unique take on slow burn, or the found footage. It's
mhm.
which can be a little stale sometimes or tropey.
I didn't
Um,
even realize it was found footage till like the end of the movie. I was like, "Oh shit."
they've
Like
been
this is
getting
a found footage movie. They break the rules at times with like the people recording off stage, and then when he has a dream sequence where it's not found footage.
use that. So yeah,
But whatever, that didn't bother me. But you're right, it was just a
yeah,
unique. It didn't feel found footage, but it was.
right, right, and I respect that.
Hell yes. All right, so cool, man. So you're number 10 VHS Beyond. You're number 9 Late Night with the Devil. My number 9 is another one. I left the theater when I originally saw this, kind of cold on it, and I watched it again and kind of loved it. And it just stuck with me as Long Legs. Long Legs, another like really slow burn,
Yep.
awkward movie. It's got Micah Monroe doing real awkward performance that she gives, and then Nicolas Cage. I don't know about awkward, but fucking
Have,
weird, like a crazy over the top Nicolas Cage performance. But this one, like, it just stuck with me. There's something about the atmosphere, and a lot of that is created from Micah Monroe and just her like stillness and her like quietness that you get from it. But the way, and let's try not to spoil, like, let's go as low on the spoilers, as
okay.
light on the spoilers as we can. But the way the story unfolds, totally did not see where it goes. Like halfway
Yeah.
through the movie, I'm like, oh, it's going to be this. And then at the end, I just love the ending. A lot of people didn't like it, but I liked the kind of ambiguous, but like dark, bleak ass ending that we got. And I thought it was just a shit. It's another one that's
Yeah.
really different. People compare it to Silence of the Lambs. It's got a touch of that, but it's you know what I mean. It's not really that. It's something definitely
It kind of.
unique.
I wouldn't say it was necessarily. I say certain aspects of it were supernatural, but I was gonna say it kind of reminded me of like a Supernatural 7
Mm-hmm.
to a degree.
Totally, yeah.
But that one unfortunately did. That was an honorable mention. That's always this list was so goddamn hard because it's like even the movies left off. I was like, it's not a slight at you. I just didn't have the space.
Right. Which I think a
But
lot of people like. I wouldn't be surprised to see Long Legs at the top of some people's lists.
oh yeah,
That's the
yeah,
thing. Like this whole top 10, you're gonna have, yeah,
subjective.
every one of these could be the number one for certain people, and a lot of them were my number one at one point when they came out. As I'm looking at it, but all right. So Long Legs, my number 9. My brother, what do you got at number 8?
Number 8, I'm gonna have to go with Cuckoo. Um,
Hey.
there. I like the film, but there's something about it that wasn't very visually interesting. But I think the
Hmm.
storytelling was a little messy, and there were certain things that we questioned a lot. It's like it was like towards the end when they're having that standoff. I can't remember per se what it is right now, but I just remember we both touched on it. It's like
Hmm.
she kind of like pulled out some hidden power or something. And it's like, why didn't she do
Yeah.
that? Why didn't she do that before? And there's this. It's very. I love the performances. What's his face who plays Legion? I can never remember his name, but
Dan
he's
Stevens, is that you're talking about?
Dan Stevens. I
He's
cannot. I don't know.
fantastic, man. Yeah.
It's the most simplest name. But yeah, he's amazing. The actress Hunter Schafer, I think.
Oh
I
yeah,
thought
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
um I wish they would have done more with the parents, but it was the plot holes were very glaring for me, but I enjoyed the idea of it, the visual style of it.
Yeah.
So
Super stylized.
yes.
I remember like starting out with like a bang and loving it, and especially the style. You're like, oh, this is fresh, this is cool.
Mhm.
And then just by the end, yeah, I think it was. I can't remember specifically either, but I know by the third act, the writing felt sloppy and like
Like
my
what's
give
wrong?
my give a fuck barometer had kind of
Yeah,
fallen off a lot. But it was great, and Dan Stevens. Or not that not that I think it was great, but it was very entertaining. And Dan
yeah,
Stevenson's performance was fucking
elevates
great.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, and him and Abigail too. This is a big year in horror for Dan Stevens.
it. I
Yeah.
forgot all about him in that. That man, yeah, that was Abigail. I was just hyped for that one. I got to go back and rewatch that one because it was a fun movie. Yeah, but it didn't make my list. I was
Yeah,
drunk
me
rat
neither. I've
the
seen
bus
a lot
there.
of people love the shit. Love the shit out of Abigail, which I almost wrote down as your as your number 8. Cuckoo was your number 8. Um, uh, so okay, my number 8 is another one. This was my favorite movie at the time that it came out for a hot minute. Was Oddity, another Shudder original. This one, the reason why I think it didn't make it further up my list is that there's not like enough standout moments that I really remember about it. You know what I mean? Like for whatever
Yeah,
reason, I can sit and think about it. It's another one. It's really dry. It's really slow, but it had a creepy atmosphere. It had the wooden statue, which I thought was a really badass visual, and it had that tent kill, which we'll touch on later. I don't know if you even like. Did you see that in my
oh,
best kills list? Yeah, it was like you don't even see much. We'll touch on it when we get to best kills, but I loved that. When I think about Oddity, that's like the first thing that comes to my mind. I thought that was such a cool scene, and the opening scene
the opening,
with
yes,
the
yep.
home invasion bit.
Hmm.
But yeah, they touched a little. They had a little supernatural twist to that. The performances were solid, and there was 2 twists. I won't spoil them for people, but I remember like 50 minutes in, you're like, oh, okay, that's what the movie is. And then
Hmm.
like 15 minutes later, you're like, oh shit, no, there's double twist, which is which is always great. So I loved it, man. Yeah, Oddity. If you haven't seen that one, that's on Shutter and well, well worth a watch. So that's my number 8, brother.
My number 8 or 7 is going to be Smile 2.
Ooh,
Yeah, I had a good time with this one. I remember I was not too impressed with. I didn't hate the first one, but I remember a lot of people were really warm to it, and I thought it was solid, but I didn't. I think it was like the I think it was the situation the main characters in two that appealed to me more is why I liked it. Is
mm,
we discussed she's a celebrity, their lives are already micromanaged, they already have a bunch of yes men, so it's like they can't really trust their senses to begin with, as
yeah,
opposed to a normal person where it's like eventually someone's gonna believe them, but a celebrity they live this false life, so it played into that the it fucking with your senses. Yeah, and I gotta say I enjoyed the main actress more than the first one as well. Didn't have the douche boyfriend, even though he's
yeah.
great in The Boys. And it had a dope opening scene with our
The
man.
the best. That might have
Yeah.
been my favorite like scene of the entire year.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'd have to go through it like film by film, but that's an amazing opening scene. All in one shot, action packed. There's nothing horrific about it, really. It's just like an action scene, a thriller scene.
Hmm.
Fucking
Very
phenomenal
good.
acting. Kyle Gallner. Is that his name? Gallner?
Yeah, Gallner Gallagher. I think I might be thinking of Gallagher because of the Shameless, but I think it is Gallner.
Yeah. Yeah. Phenomenal, dude. That one's on my list just a little bit higher up. So yeah, Smile. Number 2 at your number 7. And my number 7, which I know is going to be on your list, my friend, Strange Darling.
Mm.
This movie, this is one we don't. I don't want to. I want to be careful to avoid any spoilers or any hits about it. But it's a fun movie. It's gorgeously shot. What's the dude's name? Giovanni Ribisi.
Yeah,
His first
man.
time as a cinematographer. Gorgeous movie, and it's written non-sequentially. It feels like a
Yes.
Tarantino movie. That was
Yes.
one of my maybe issues with it. It almost felt too Tarantino at times, but the
I could see that.
performances from Willa Fitzgerald, who's the lead female, and Kyle Gallner. I'm pretty sure it's Gallner.
Yeah.
Just 2 actors that I like. She played in the first season of Scream, and he's the douchebag character from the Nightmare on
Houses
Elm
from
Street
Hell.
remake.
Hmm.
I hated him, and I wasn't overly impressed with her. And then you finish the movie, and you're like, wow, these are 2 actors to really keep an eye out for.
Yep.
Like both of them, like flat out incredible. It's got some fun twists. It just looks cool. It sounds cool. It was really, really well written, well directed. Like a surprise movie that I don't think nearly enough people have seen. Not flat out horror. Might
Yeah.
toe the line of thriller a little bit more, but
Yeah.
definitely horror enough to fit the bill for me.
Yeah. I think it's definitely more thriller than horror, but like you said, there's enough in that movie for it to win it. Like, okay, I can let it slide in the horror category.
Did,
Um.
Hold on, I'm kind of tripping now. Oh, okay, never mind. I'm like, how did I skip? I'm just fucking up my list over here. Okay. So yeah, Strange Darling, is it on your list a little further up? Tease me.
Yes, yeah, it's top 5 for me.
Okay. All right. All right, hell yeah, Brad. What do you have, my brother, at number 6?
We're just a little out of higher up than your orders. Oddity. The fact that I hadn't heard anything about this movie, I just kind of went into it blind. Didn't you know? I like
Yep.
to watch trailers. I didn't watch a trailer for this. I might have seen a trailer, but I don't think they showed anything. But I know for the most part, I went into this blind. So when I seen the opening, very captivating, very mood setting, very
Mm-hmm.
demure. But yeah, and the implication of the tent scene, man. Like you don't see shit, but it's just you see him standing outside of the tent, then you see the afterwards where there's you don't see anything, but it's just
I
the
love that.
visual. Yeah, it tells you
Yeah.
so much.
It's so cool. For anyone that hasn't seen it, like you said, there's a woman, she's hiding in a tent, there's a home invader, and the next thing you know, we see him. He opens up the tent and we're looking at it from the side, and then it just cuts and we see that the tent is filled with blood and he's sitting outside the tent, kind of
Just
like maybe
so.
remorseful or thinking about what he
Mm-hmm.
something. It's just like, I don't know. I love stuff like that. What up, Stu? Speaking of stuff I love like that, what up? Warren Smith, Kenneth Bird, Kaka. 9 panel grab my brother. What up, guys?
and uh and the main actress, I thought, because I know we discussed this, but I didn't even dawn on me until we talked about it, was that she was playing the sisters as well.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I forgot
The
about that, bro.
yeah,
Yeah, I honestly
doing
forgot
both.
that whole deal. Oh,
So I
she's
did
definitely not the big, tall, blonde woman from
forget
Game
it.
of Thrones. You might be confused if you just see the poster. But she's not her.
Same haircut though. But yeah, that one just I definitely I could see it's a slow burn, but because it
Hmm.
caught me off guard, I respect that. So
Totally, yeah. And like I said, the double twist, the cool performances, I don't know, it's one that it could have been higher up on my list, but there's something about it that it's not like it's forgettable because I could sit in my mind and kind of run through the story, but it really lacks horror set pieces, I guess.
yes,
Which I didn't complain about it at the time, but it's something, you know what I mean? When you're thinking about movies, I could think
you
about
need
Smile
that
2,
punch.
and there's like, bam, this visual moment, or whatever, and it doesn't have that, even though it's not like poorly directed or anything. It just doesn't have a lot of them,
There
a
was
lot of
two.
moments.
No, yeah, and there's two movies on this list that were kind of slow burn that I just couldn't help but feel. I was like, I get that's what they're going for, but a few more jabs here and there would have gone a long, long way.
Totally.
Even one more jab, or jump scare would have
Yeah.
helped. So,
All right. So that was your number 6 at Oddity. My number 6 is Alien Romulus, baby. This
mm,
there's a lot of people that have kind of issues with it. I think a lot of people that are maybe bigger fans of the franchise have more issue with it.
right,
It's not as deep, it's not as atmospheric as the original. It's maybe not as scary, but I think it might be the most entertaining alien movie ever made. It's between
yeah,
that and Aliens, and I got my issues with Aliens that a lot of people don't have, but I don't know. Romulus, it felt a little Disney. You could tell that it was a Disney movie. It felt like, I don't know, just kind of like dumbed down in certain ways. But I love that they used practical effects as much as they did. The cast wasn't great, but they were really solid. And
yeah,
Andy, the droid, one of the best all the droids in the whole series, or the synthetics or whatever, they're all great. And
yeah.
I'll put him up there with Bishop. I'll put him up with the best of them. So I love the movie and I love the third act. I love where it goes, and it's just like it felt like a Marvel movie by the end in a good way, like a
And yeah,
good sweep you off your feet. Holy shit, all this craziness is going on.
shit, and
Badass
yeah,
climax with some heart, buried in
mm,
there. Like I loved it. I think they did a great job with it.
like that. All right,
So hold on before we go into your top 5. Let's recap. So Link's number 10, he's got VHS Beyond, Late Night with the Devil, Cuckoo, Smile 2, and Oddity. And I had Late Night with the Devil at 10, followed by Long Legs, Oddity, Strange Darling, and Alien Romulus. So moving into your top 5, brother, lay it on me. What you got?
top 5. I'm going to go with Nosferatu.
Ooh, baby.
I did. We were just talking about this was the slow burn I was talking about, where I
Yep,
just felt
I knew it.
could have just used a little bit more punches, and I get that's what those type of, maybe it's a personal preference, but
Mhm.
nonetheless, there's still a lot to enjoy from these films. The fact that, as I said in the stream, this isn't usually my kind of film. I still had a great time. The cast was amazing. Lily Rose Depp, I was, you know, uh, I thought some nepotism, but from previous roles I've seen, I thought that was the case with her getting roles, but after
Mhm.
seeing this, I thought, okay, there's something there.
Oh
She
yeah.
really brought her game. So I was impressed by that. And I like the fact that you really couldn't tell who was the main character
Hmm.
initially. Like it. I feel like they kind of build it as Nicholas
Holt.
Holt. Yes,
Yeah.
as the main character. But then when you get into it, you're like, oh no, he's not the main character. But they balance it well. And Skarsgård gave a killer performance per usual.
Oh
So
my god. I think because we're going to be covering next Thursday, we're doing Dracula 1931 and Dracula 1958. And I think after you watch both those movies, I think you're going to appreciate what they did with Lily Rose Depp's character even more, because they start with her and they make her kind of the focus more so than all. Basically, what I'm saying, the other movies, they always start with Jonathan in the castle, or in
oh,
1931,
okay.
it's Renfield that goes to the castle, which is the same thing that Nosferatu does. And then they just disappear in the plot. Either they just disappear some way, and then you end up with a totally new cast in the second half of the movie. So in
Ah,
a way, so this one did a much better job of like making it cohesive throughout. I feel like with her character specifically.
this random tangent, but I got this out. It's alerted to me to what Eggers looks like. For some reason, I thought he was like a Christopher Nolan, like he was British and he was like an
Right.
older gentleman. He's like really modern. He's like 41, 42 or something like that.
Yeah. Dude,
He
most of
seems
the
like
big directors in horror right now are like our age, which
40s.
is
Yeah,
crazy.
early
Yeah,
40s. Yep.
Jordan Peele, Ty West, yeah, they're all like 40-ish.
I love that. Kind of
Mhm.
makes me feel bad about myself a little bit at the same time, but I still love that our generation is just, I don't know. Eggers for 41 for some of the films he's done, that seems very I feel like he's got an old soul, because he
Yeah.
loves the way his films feel so lived in, from The
Mhm.
Witch to I haven't seen The Lighthouse, but the trailer looks like those guys lived that life.
Totally. He's all about authenticity. Like
Yes.
I assume he did the same for Nosferatu, but I know
Hmm.
for The Witch, like he really studied the language and the time, like what are the words that they would use, what would they really be wearing, and tried to get it
Right.
as authentic as possible. And that's what you could, well, I'll dive into my number 5, which is also Nosferatu. Oh, first I wanted to read this comment. My man E from 9 Panel Grid, make sure you're checking him out, says Romulus was the perfect combination of every alien movie that came before it. They threaded that needle. Agreed,
Yeah.
my brother. Which is
Yeah.
why I'm glad I watched for the first time like half of the movies that I hadn't seen in the franchise, so I could get that joke right there, so I could be part of it. But no, just to touch on what you said with Nosferatu, I mentioned it when we did the review, which you guys should check out. It's up now. I left the movie a little cold on it the first time. I had a bad seat. I had fucking annoying people behind me. I did watch it twice, and like it's like I gave it like a 3.5 when I originally left the theater. And then like even in my head before I saw it a second time, it was up to a 4. And then I saw it again
Mm,
and it went up to a 4.5. So a lot of it's just the visuals and the atmosphere. And then again, like I said, and don't get wrong, I don't want to, oh, I've seen every Dracula movie. I'm a Dracula expert. I have it. And a lot of them I've only seen recently. But when you compare it to the other ones that I have seen, I think it's the best one. They're all flawed, but I think it's got the most going for it. It's the best looking. It's the
oh yeah,
scariest one. It's got the most scary moments out of any of the Dracula movies. It has the scariest version of Dracula ever. The sound is amazing. The outfits are amazing. It's probably got the best fucking acting
yeah,
of
yeah.
anyone ever. I'm looking forward for you to watch 1958 because it's got like all these classic actors, and neither of us are big like 50s movie
Yeah.
guys and everything, but like the acting in it, it's different, but it is like really, really good for its time. Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, just like awesome people. What up, Khaleesi? Saying Smile 2. Smile 2 was Link's number 7. I've yet to get to it. Spoiler alert, it is on my list a little further
Mm,
up.
I like
And then
that.
my man Sal says the sound of Count Orlok's voice really reverberated throughout the theater. which
Yeah,
I
dude.
debate. I don't know if I've done my vocal warm-ups today. If I could do the Nosferatu voice for you.
I like it.
Yeah.
Nah,
So I was
it's
saying that was
for
the creepiest element of the movie for me, 100%. I loved how they didn't show him for like the first 20, 30 minutes of the movie or whatever it is. Or like if you
just
did
silhouettes
see
and
him,
shit.
even after you'd met him, you didn't fully get a look at him till the movie was almost over. Till you really,
Yeah,
really could see what he looked like.
even with the
Yeah, my man saying Dracula Dead and Loving It, still top tier. But I guess Nosferatu was all right. I wanted to cover Dracula Dead and Loving It for Fang Fest, which we are in the middle of right now. 5 weeks of vampire talk around week 2 coming up on Thursday. But sorry, I feel like I cut you off at one point
oh
there.
no, no. No, I think I was gonna do some Borat impersonation, but
Oh fuck, I missed it, dude. All right, what do you got at number 4, brother?
number 4, man, it's gonna be hard. Damn. Once again, I feel like this should be higher, but I'm gonna have to go with the substance.
Mm,
These last 4 are really difficult for me.
me too, bro.
It's like what can be said about it? It's The Fly for this generation. Demi Moore giving a career defining performance. I feel like, especially at her age. I don't know. I know when he was on ages, but in Hollywood, someone in her age shouldn't be. They're usually not thriving, or they don't have a role
So
like that come to them too often.
especially with all the nudity. Not to like
Yes,
sound like pervy about it, but that's the one of the things that's most impressive about it. That she got to be
she's
almost 60 years old, and to go out there get naked on film like that, and that's crazy.
it's vulnerable, bro. Yeah,
Yeah,
and she looks amazing. So for her, so more power to her. Um, yeah, this movie, Dennis Quaid, fantastic for you.
yeah.
Uh, you got attractive Demi Moore. You got attractive young Demi Moore. I don't know the actress's name, but
Something Margaret Qualley, yeah, and she's
Okay,
fantastic in it too. Yes,
both ends of the spectrum. So yeah, that it's The Fly with the twist on it, and it's for, like I said, it's for this generation. Like, so we go into it, don't expect like The Fly per se, but it's more sexually charged. Um, Speaks on the themes of people being obsessed with youth, and stuff like that.
hmm,
But it's very visual, especially
totally.
that it fucking turns into a nightmare towards the end, but you're just kind of there for it. It's when she's, oh, not to get too far, but yeah, when it turns into a nightmare, and it's awesome.
I
So
want to say you made me think like when you compared it to The Fly. I was thinking like it's just like The Fly. I think a lot of people like it's a mainstream movie, especially like when it came out. A lot of people
mhm,
went and saw that and didn't even really think of it as a horror movie. And I
right,
think a lot of people, just like mainstream audiences, are going to see the substance. They're going to love it for just being like an entertaining flick. And then
but
someone will
not,
call it a horror movie and they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah.
yeah,
Because
that
it's
was
not
horror,
typical at all, but it's like it's that
right?
Cronenberg brand of horror where
Yep.
it's just body horror. It's about something crazy happening to an individual. And I was even thinking like there's no villain in that movie. Who's the villain? Like she is the villain.
The
She's the
girl,
protagonist and the
yeah,
antagonist in a way,
shit,
which is cool. Like that
yeah,
feels Cronenberg as well. Just like something. It's really really a smart movie and it's fucking
mhm.
gorgeous and it's on my list a little bit further up, so I should probably shut up so that I have something to say when I do get to it. So moving to my number 4. I had, and this one totally could have been my number 1 at one point. I had it as number 1 on this list. I love it, and it's Heretic. Heretic starring Hugh Grant, which is just think about that. Like this year, when we're talking about like the big names in horror, we've got Hugh Grant, Demi Moore, Nicolas Cage. I feel like there was another one. I guess
Oh,
Bill Skarsgård and all that, but I feel like there was another big one. But either way, oh, Kevin Bacon from Maxine. Like
oh yeah,
these are all names that we grew up with in the 90s that were like absolute A-list celebrities that are all, again, to Steel Stew's line, doing career redefining roles. Hugh Grant and Demi Moore are on that same level right there,
yes,
where it's like I'm
yeah,
gonna look at them complete. I had not thought of either of these people in 20 years. And
yeah.
now, like, they just crushed it, knocked it out of the park with 2 of the best movies of the year and their performances. Both of them, we'll be talking about them when we do our best performances at the end of this. Both of them nominated for that, and it's going to be a tough debate to figure out. Which, by the way, you guys in the chat, you guys are going to be part of how we decide who gets these awards at the end. Link and I are going to give our opinions on who we think deserves to win it. We're going to try to come to a meeting of the minds on that, and then we're going to be asking you to help us along and put a vote in for who gets these awards. Best kill, best performance, scariest movie, shit like that. So I had, again, Heretic at number 4.
My number 3.
Moving into Link's top 3, baby.
Man. All right. Damn, I want to be higher. I want them all to be higher. Romulus. Romulus.
Hell yeah, brother.
I think we
not yet, Jared. It's under my honorable mentions, brother. I'm sorry. It didn't make my top 10. I'm sorry, brother. I enjoyed it though. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine. I like you said earlier, I think it's like it took everything that worked from previous Alien movies and amalgamated, meshed it together into something. It's not the most cerebral of the franchise by any means, but it is one of the most popcorn, entertainingly fun movies. I did, like he said, it threads that needle very well because it's not, when I see, I don't even think I'm doing it justice when I say popcorn, because it's got more going for it than that. But it's not, it's not too, there's not really too many deep themes, but you can extrapolate certain things if you want.
It's there, but they don't they're not making the movie about that. It's just like, if you want to think about some deeper shit, it is there, but you're not getting bogged down in any way, which you can in like some of the other, like the earlier Alien movies, the Ridley Scott ones and Prometheus. Definitely. It's really all about your Covenant. It's all about the themes and less about entertainment. Yeah.
And the cast, I like the fact that, because you have kind of made me take notice of that the cast was like, it's like a teen Alien movie in a sense, where it's like a bunch of young unknown actors, but it worked, yeah. So and like Verno said earlier, the android, what was his name?
Andy.
Okay, I was gonna say David. I know that's Michael Fassbender, but yes, Andy was amazing. And I don't think he's done anything outside of this besides like,
I looked at you're right, not much.
So the fact that he was so damn amazing, shout out to that guy.
His name is David Johnson. And like one thing that he does a little bit, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he might be the only synthetic in the franchise that he's like the villain at one point in the movie, and he's the good guy. He plays these two like really different roles. I feel like maybe you get some shades of that with Walter or David. Or some of them, but not to the degree that you get this one.
I would say Fassbender is like more or his Walter David was more like, I wouldn't say he was a threat, but he was helping egg shit along to work against them, where Andy really, they had to like run jet from Andy at one point, because his
I think even Fassbender, when he was good and when he was evil, was pretty much the same character.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? This guy was completely two different characters, which was cool. And it was a good, believable way to do it. Oh, we've given you an upgrade, like, and changed your personality. I love that part. Jared Stark, my brother, he says he's got a lot to say. He says Dennis Quaid, bit of a villain, more of an asshole. Good point. Bit of an antagonist, but not a straight out villain. Yeah. Maxine, my favorite movie. Surprisingly, I love the shit out of X. I love the shit out of Pearl. And I wanted to love Maxine more. I wanted to love it more. I think I gave it like a 3.5. The soundtrack, the camp, the costumes, the Mia Goth. I agree. Giancarlo's Weave was an amazing supporting role. This is Alien Romulus, my second favorite of the year, my brother. All right. I'll get to some of your more comments in just a moment, my brother. But all right, moving into my top 3. What do I got? Number 3, I'm going Smile 2. At one point, I've said this about every movie. At one point, I had this as my number 1. I gave it a 5. Unlike you, I fucking love Smile 1. I gave that a 5 as well. And Smile 2 was somehow better. Especially when you compare on the downside, I feel like it's not as scary as Smile 1, which to me has some creepy moments in it because it's a little more chill, a little quieter, a little more atmospheric.
Yeah.
But what Smile 2 makes up for is with the energy, with the colors. I think about that movie, I'm just thinking of like blues and yellows and just bright, vivid, super saturated colors. Cinematography, fire. The acting, fire. Naomi Scott, hot. There you go, Robbie. That's for you. Yeah. And the fact that she does all the music, she's singing in it, she's dancing. It was just, I mean,
Trapped,
it
but done right. You know.
super well written. It's got the amazing horror set pieces. I wish I could have had a little bit more. I could have had one or two more. It's got
Yeah.
good practical effects. It's got annoying CGI blood, which fucking bugs me. It's got a banger ending, and it's just I don't know, a super entertaining movie. And I love that it's as popular as it is. Like, you know what I mean? That Smiles is kind of mainstream as it is, because I think it's a really fucking quality horror film that I feel like most people have seen.
Yeah, I feel like, to be honest, if I would say one horror franchise is hit commercially in the last few years, is definitely like Smile. We'll be seeing more Smiles for years to come.
Absolutely. Yep.
Uh,
We might even see a grin at one point. As I say, we're gonna see frown at one point.
and
That's gonna be the end of the franchise.
the premise is kind of like, it's interesting because it's so, I don't want to say unique, but it's like you don't need the same cast for every. It's like this is a movie
Mm-hmm.
where it really thrives off different cast, different setting, different location. Every movie, it's because it's
Mm-hmm.
cursed. You know, it's like, how do you really break this curse? It
And
just
I
keeps
love
getting passed down.
they haven't answered like the origin of it. I
Yes.
said it kind of. You guys all laughed when I said it, but I'm serious. I want to see Smile 1943. I want to see like or Smile
Where
1652.
it comes from.
Like take us back, take us all the way back. That would be. You could put it anywhere. You could
Yeah,
put it on
yeah.
Mars. Like it could be anywhere. And the guy, the director, who I can't think of his name right now, he's down. He says he wants to. His quote was, "I think it would be cool as shit for there to be a bunch of Smile movies."
You did one
I
or two.
want. Yeah, he did one and two.
Okay.
He wrote them both, and they're his first two movies. Like to me, that's what's fucking crazy. Smile 1 does not feel like a first time director.
I was just
Smile
thinking.
2 is
Yeah.
like it's so complex. It's like, yeah, this guy, he's the real deal. Like he's gonna
Damn, you
make
got
a
me over here. I might have to retcon my vote for the Smile one. I didn't know that it was his first. That you got to really respect that. If it's their first time and it feels like a very competent movie, and you know the shots and even the jump scares, bro, it's hard to pull off jump scares. He got my ass with a few of them in the first
right.
one. So
Me too, dude. Well, that's in the second one. But yeah. I love those movies, man. I didn't realize how much I loved the first one until I rewatched it for when we did Smile 2. Which again, almost every movie that we mentioned here, we have a full breakdown on. So go back, check through the channel. Pretty much anything that we talk about. Yeah. Everything that we've talked about so far, we have full episodes on. So go check them out. All right, brother. Smile 2 is my number 3. What do you have at number 2?
Last two, I really was so back and forth. It's like, who's gonna get number one? I think I'm still been changing it, but I'll just split it out. Heretic. This movie surprised me. This could have been really boring. It had such a small cast, and it's I think it was one of the more unique films or surprising films of this year. Even from the trailer, I don't think which is a good thing. You're really not gonna get what this movie is gonna go into, and it had some cool themes, knockout performances. So Hugh Grant, and I had seen him do like a few slimy roles over the last few years, and I was like, "What are you trying to do, Hugh Grant? This is not you, bro. Like you're the good guy. Everyone loves you." But based after this role, now I get it. And going forward, seeing him in any slimy roles, I'll totally be behind it because I feel like he sealed the deal with this.
Totally.
It was just really unexpected, and I might think my last two picks were just shit that. Well, number one, I think I had my eye on, but I didn't really know what to expect either. But the last few picks, just total surprises. I didn't know what to expect of this. I watched it, didn't think it might necessarily be my thing. Ended up loving it.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me want to see what because I know one of the actresses is from
Yellow Jackets.
Yeah, yes, I was thinking of
So Sophie Thatcher, who was great. She's no Sister Paxton, but she was fucking great.
Based off this, I will be watching Thatcher and Sister Paxton, whatever they do, because they knocked it up the park along with Hugh Grant. He's older, so it's like you kind of expect him to bring his A game, but for them to be so new and then
toe to toe with him, right?
Yes.
And like he's such a fucking perfect casting for that movie. And I don't want to spoil too much, but it's like Barbarian. If you've seen Barbarian, imagine instead of Bill Skarsgård, it's Hugh Grant. And you're like, is this motherfucker gonna try and kill me by the end of this thing? You don't really know, but he's so disarming and so charming. And even as it gets creepier and creepier and you trust him less and less, he just cranks the charm up more and more. And you're like, Hugh Grant, stab me. Go ahead. I
Yeah,
don't fucking care.
go down
I'll
there,
take it.
please.
Sal saying trailers reveal so much these days. That's why I never watch them. I never watch trailers. Says,
Willpower of God.
but I was glad I didn't know much about Heretic going into the movie. Same, brother. Same. Reign of Horror,
Absolutely.
my brother. What up, man? Appreciate you being here. And thank you, Jared. Says he's gonna go check out the breakdowns. Do it. Do it. Don't judge us too hard, man. We were high. So don't judge us too hard. All right.
Awesome.
So Heretic, you're number 2. I had it at number 4. And at number 2, what do I have? Now, this is where I let a little fanboy slide in. Is this the number 2 best film of the year? No. And for a second, like I've said about all these, I had this at my number 1 because this will be the movie. This will be the movie that I will probably watch the most out of all these, and that I think it has the potential to have the most longevity out of any of these movies because it's part of a major franchise that won't die anytime soon. And I'm talking Terrifier 3, baby.
Yes.
Fucking Terrifier 3. Amazing. First time I watched the movie, I was like, it was just too much for me. I was not in the right head state, and I was like, this movie's like almost sad. They're fucking killing kids left and right. It was just like, oh my God. But the second time I watched it, I really, really appreciated what they did with fucking Art the Clown, obviously incredible. Some of the kills, and we'll touch on them a little bit later because one of them is nominated for Kill of the Year. The kills were obviously insane. The art was insane, but the story I think was pretty fucking solid. And one of the things I appreciate the most out of it is all the horror set pieces that we got that weren't kills. Like the bit with Sienna seeing Art dressed as Santa Claus and her seeing her friend kind of a la American Werewolf in London. Just different ways to give us horror set pieces that aren't slasher kills in a really like a franchise that all you're thinking about is the kills. So I thought that, he kind of went out of his way to elevate the franchise in a bit. So
that's a great point. I didn't really think of that. Like that's that I think because I remember we talked about it and I was told you like it threw me off how much story we're getting because compared to the second one, it's like he tried to do all this exposition towards the end a little bit, or like pacing was off. But this one, it's like he tried to give you a lot of story, and that threw me off a little bit. But like you said, he gave the horror in different ways, like the friend a la American Werewolf.
Yeah, which that's like one of my favorite scenes of the movie. I just love that actress too so much. That played her friend, the one that died at the end of the second film, towards the end. All right. So again, my number 2 was Terrifier 3. Let's recap Lynk's list before we get to his number 1. At number 10, he had VHS Beyond, followed by Late Night with the Devil, Cuckoo, Smile 2, Oddity, Nosferatu, The Substance, Alien Romulus, and Heretic. My brother. Let me see if I can guess. What does Lynk have? I don't know. I'm tripping right now. Yeah. What is it?
Strange Darling.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. I should have known. Yeah, I should have known that.
This movie just complete surprise. You can watch the trailer and you're still not gonna know. It's gonna throw you a curveball. It plays with the whole perception of things, or you can't trust things at face value and things like that. And it, like we were saying earlier, if I wouldn't walk out of a movie wanting to see what the main actors or most actors in the movie are going to do next, I think that's done an extremely well job. You brought it up earlier, Giovanni Ribisi, first time on cinematography, knocking it out the park.
Which, for people that don't know who that is, this is an actor that you've seen him. He plays the douchebag business guy in the first Avatar. He's like the little skinny guy. He's got a role in My Name is Earl, bunch of TV shows. He's like fucking Google him, Giovanni Ribisi, and you'd be like, what? Like, I just love the fact that he's a successful actor. I'm sure he's doing well in Hollywood. He's like, he clearly has a passion for cinematography. He's like, I'm going to be a cinematographer. I'm a known actor that gets gigs, and I'm going to get behind the camera. And I just love that about him. I feel like he's going to direct in the future.
Has he directed anything yet?
I don't think so.
Yeah, that shit with this way he's shooting, is setting up his cinematography. He might as well be directing. The the writing, I love the look of it. The usage of light, like I feel like, I'm not trying to be a film snob, but I think the fact that it was shot on film really added
Oh
to
yeah,
its quality.
totally.
Uh, and it just feels so raw, And our main man's Kyle. If you've seen him in any movie from like the early 2010s, he has like the whole stoner slacker, longer hair. But my man's had a grow up, and he's just out here living his best life with his stash and everything. So
My
yeah,
man Jared Stark. No, I know who you're talking about. You're thinking of Paul Giamatti.
Paul, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
Giovanni Ribisi. He's quite a bit younger, not quite as hard to look at as Paul Giamatti is. Why
yeah,
am I such a dick? I love it. I almost called you Howard Stark. Jared Stark says my horror card just got revoked. I've not seen one of those except Alien
that's okay.
Romulus. It's all right, brother. Like I
Yeah,
said, a lot of them are Shutter. A few of them just came out in theaters too. Like Heretic isn't out streaming anywhere
hmm
for free. Neither is Nosferatu. Neither is Smile. Oh no, Smile 2 just dropped on Paramount Plus. I think Smile
one of the
1's there too.
streaming
Terrifier
services.
3 isn't for free yet, so a lot of
Yep,
those. But handful of them on Shutter. Great year for Shutter, like we said earlier. Like really top-notch year for them. But all right,
no,
man, let us get into my number one. So I'll recap my list really quick. Late Night with the Devil, my number 10, followed by Long Legs, Oddity, Strange Darling, Alien Romulus, Nosferatu, Heretic, Smile 2, and Terrifier 3. So my number one, and then we're going to get into the Bloodsies, the horror awards. We'll be giving out some awards right after this. But my number one, do you know what it is? Can you guess what I didn't mention yet?
mm, I
It's tricky,
cannot.
right? Especially you don't have the list in front of you either. But the substance, I
Oh,
for me, it was like instinctively, like reflexively, I was like, oh, the substance. And then I was like, well, maybe not. I don't want to, because it is pretty. A lot of people are probably putting it as their number one. I'm like, oh, I want to be cool. I want to be cool. I want to look for something else. But the more I thought about it, you know me, I watch everything twice, sometimes three times before we review it. I've still only seen this movie once, but I can still kind of
uh,
like let the movie play through my head. And to me, it's like it kind of reminds me of Smile too, in a way where it's like these colors. You know what I mean? It's like these
yeah,
bold,
yep,
bold, highly saturated movie. This one's got all these hot pinks and like kind of like more of like a neon flavor to it. But the performance from Demi Moore, which we touched on earlier, her to go there as much as she does and do the nudity and do everything that she does. Uh, Margaret Qualley being as like they sexualize her so much in the film, so I don't feel bad saying, "Holy shit, is she hot?" in the movie. You're
they
supposed to be like,
succeeded.
"Holy
Yeah,
shit, she's like the hottest thing you've ever seen." They nail that, and just like I said earlier, there's no for people that haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to spoil it, but what it's about, it's Demi Moore. She takes this serum that allows her to live half her life as a young hot chick. And then she's got to go back and forth and live like what is it? Like she gets to live a week as her old self and a week as her younger self. And
hmm
never the two shall meet. And they end up meeting and it becomes horrific. But the body horror element, the practical effects, the runtime, but never feeling like it's a 2 hour movie, but it never feels like it.
yeah, not at
Feels like
all.
it flies by. Just a fucking great, really, really well written, timeless movie that I think this is one that will be remembered for a long
Yeah,
time. And a lot of mainstream audiences are gonna see this and they're gonna be like, what the fuck am I watching? Which I love. I love thinking about that.
You-
Some grandma and grandpa sitting in the theater like, honey, did you know?
you just reminded me of the a scene. It's not. I'm not gonna spoil it, but we'll say it's a versus scene. And well, I can see just blowing like, what the fuck is going on right now?
Jared, here's one from him. Says best horror film with no supernatural elements is 1994 Dolores Claiborne. Bro, I don't think I've ever seen it, and I don't think I've ever read the book. And it's one of the very few Stephen King anything that I haven't seen or read. Says my favorite Stephen King book. He wrote it with I didn't know that. Oh, he wrote it with Kathy Bates in mind after seeing her in Misery. Yeah, and she stars in the movie too. I don't know why. We should just cover that. Have you
Okay,
seen
yeah.
it?
No, I didn't know that was the thing. Dolores Claiborne.
We
I'm
should just
interested.
cover it, go in blind, and just fucking Watch it.
I'm with it.
Watch it and cover it. But hell yeah, man, hell yeah. So your number one movie of the year, Strange Darling, and my number one movie, The Substance, which you had at number 4. I had Strange Darling at number 7, but they're fucking great. Like
Yeah,
again,
yeah,
Strange Darling is like kind of the sleeper hit of the year. Just to repeat myself, like don't go in expecting, Freddy Krueger's not going to pop up. It's not a slasher. It's not full frontal horror movie. More of a
yeah.
thriller, but just like a really, really well made film. And let's get into it, buddy. We're gonna do the Bloodsies, the first annual Bloodsies right here, where we're gonna be handing out some awards. The topics we have: the Popcorn Award. This is for the best popcorn movie of the year. We have best screenplay, best kill, best practical effects movie, best cinematography, best performance, best villain, scariest movie, and worst movie. Let's start there. Let's start with worst movie. We've been talking about all the best movies so far. Well, I only had 2 on my list. And again, just to repeat myself, because I said this at the beginning, the year started out with all these movies coming out that were getting bad reviews, and I was not watching them.
Yeah.
So a lot of them that like I knew, like I didn't watch Night Swim this year. I don't know. I didn't hear anything good about it, so I'm like, fuck it. But so there's not really that many that I watched that I thought were terrible. And even the 2 that I have on my list, I kind of enjoyed to a degree, but they were the worst movies that I saw out of the 24 new movies that I saw in 2024. But what do you got? What did you have as the worst one?
I wouldn't
You
say
guys in the chat too. What's your worst one?
I wouldn't say it was the worst, just more of a letdown. Maybe I was expecting too much based off the cast, but Abigail. I think because I remember seeing the trailer, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a good one, and it was fun. But there's so I don't know. I can't. We're not to get into it too deeply. They're just off the cast, and some of them in unentertaining ways, And it's just like, what? Why would you even like? I don't want to spoil it, but it's like they flirt with certain elements, and it's like, why would you introduce that if you weren't going to go anywhere with it? What's the point of wasting our time?
Totally. Yeah, like the love story. I hated the bit where
yeah.
she gives the speech. She's like, she picks everybody apart, knows their personalities off how their fucking breath smells and shit like that. It's like I hated it. It was such a dry performance in a scene that we've seen in other movies that you need a big performance.
Yes.
I always think of Ace Ventura. Yep. You did this and you did that. You know what I mean? Like she did that scene with no personality, and she's good. She's pretty decent. Melissa Barrera. I really liked her in Scream 6. But then Radio Silence, the ones that directed it, it's pretty much like a not a sequel, but like a spiritual successor to Ready or Not. Same type of movie. You got a group of people, they're in a big mansion, fucking people are dying, but it just doesn't have the heart, it doesn't have the humor that the other one had. But also at the same time, I put it on as a nominee for popcorn movie because it is a good popcorn movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just could have been way better. It could have been way funnier and could have been. But I loved the performance from Abigail. Yeah. I liked her character twirling around and shit.
She had fun with it. Yeah, that's why I think it was more of like an expectation thing for me, where it's like it's not even bad, but it just kind of it disappointed me because it didn't meet my personal expectations. But I could totally see other people.
What up, Evan, my brother? Appreciate you being here. Jared saying only watched Abigail because I like Dan Stevens. I feel you there, brother. Yeah, it's like kind of my introduction to him. And then we saw him right after that in Cuckoo. And he's even, bro, if you watched Abigail just to see him and you haven't seen Cuckoo, go watch Cuckoo. Because he's great. He's doing a German accent and shit. It's fantastic. It says The Watchers was the worst movie I saw this year.
It came out this year?
Yeah.
I might have to change my answer. Bro,
okay. Yeah, good.
You know what? I was either between that and Trap, based on just because Trap, I did rewatch and it was like you can have fun with that, but I don't think I'll ever like The Watchers. I was like, bro, what the fuck? Like, did you not learn anything from the criticism your dad's been getting over the years?
Right.
Like
I would say, first of all, I didn't see that, but I've seen that. I know that's one of the worst fucking movies of the year from what I've heard. Sal saying maybe In a Violent Nature. Considered it, but I respect what they did. I appreciate what they did. They just could have done it better. And it has some elements about it. You know what I mean? They went for it. They went for it. I appreciate that.
Yeah. The Watchers though, I was like, what the hell is like, what was Dakota Fanning thinking? What was I mean, M. Night Shyamalan's put out some shit at this point, but he has some bangers. But it's like, what are you thinking, bro? Like, come on now.
Oh my man, Jared Stark say Maxine. I was on the fence, but it grew on me. I saw Romulus on Thursday night. Then at Friday, 11 a.m. the next day, I loved it. Hell yeah.
I've seen that movie multiple times. Yeah.
My man's E saying Trap was pretty bad, probably the worst horror I'd seen this year. I had it as, let me see, where'd my little list go? I'm going with Salem's Lot. Now, this is another one that I didn't see Watcher, so that I couldn't make my list. I had Salem's Lot and Trap, and that's the thing though. I can get something out of both these movies.
Yeah.
Salem's Lot, by the end of it, you're like, it's so stupid. It's so disappointing.
Yes.
What they could have done, but it is kind of fun, and there's some entertainment to it, but it is a kick in the dick that it could have been great. Oh my God. I should have fucking put Quiet Place Day One is on my list too, because I fucking hated it. I saw it in the theater. I've only seen it once. I gave it like a 1.5. I thought it was dog shit, but I'm weird about theaters sometimes.
I will say that I don't think it was terrible, but I remember like because I feel like people were raving about this one, like it's the best Quiet Place yet. And when I was like going into it, because I was like, I really love the first two Quiet Places, so I'm gonna love this one. I saw it and I was like, it's definitely not the best one. It's not a terrible movie, but I don't see why everyone is saying this is the best Quiet Place.
I gotta watch it again, man. We should. I know we've whipped through our 2024 thing, but I still would like to knock it out at one point.
Like, I'm here.
Yeah, get to it and cover it. Yeah.
You know what I think it was? It was the premise, because this is like we got elements of it in the second one, but I think most people want to see what these creatures would do in a fully populated area. You know,
right,
this was
right.
Movie for it. So
right. What I don't know. I didn't expect it to be. And these movies are like both Quiet Place 1 and 2, like are like quiet, like slow burn movies, but they're also like it's weird because you don't think of them like that because they're like really exciting at times too. I just feel like they didn't get the balance. Well, the biggest thing was I hated that character. They started out with like, "Hey, we're gonna get you to hate this fucking character, and then she's gonna win you over by the end of it." And by the end of it, I was like, "No, it didn't. It did not work. I'm still not a huge fan of her, although she's a great actress."
Oh yeah, Lupita Nyong'o.
I've been saying my worst had to be Night Swim or Trap. I feel you. I felt like two movies smashed into one. Talking about A Quiet Place. And then it was visually appealing, but the storyline was too captivating. You know, someone had to die. You just want it to be a noble sacrifice. Yeah.
Yep.
Magical cat bit. Unbelievable. I feel you. All right. So let us get into, that was our worst movies. I had, what did someone just say? Oh, yeah. Fuck it. I'll go with A Quiet Place because that is the one that I enjoyed the least. Bad theater experience. So, yeah, my least favorite was A Quiet Place. And what was yours? Abigail. Yeah, I'm with you, brother.
I changed it to The Watchers.
Okay, yeah.
Not all about that. Like, that movie pissed me off.
Let's go. I'm going to do these all out of order how I have them here. Let us go. What do you think the best is? And the way we're going to do these, we're going to try to come to an agreement. And chat, we need your help for this. So hopefully you guys have seen enough of these to kind of help us out. But let's do cinematography. I don't think we're going to have a hard time, or maybe we will. Okay, here are the nominees, and we got a lot. So I'm going to give you the nominees. Link's going to tell me his vote. I'm going to give my vote. And chat, we want to know what you guys think. So this is best cinematography of the year. There's 8 nominees. So I'll just go through them. I Saw the TV Glow, The First Omen, The Substance, Strange Darling, Smile 2, Nosferatu, Long Legs, and Cuckoo. And again, the way I made these, if I missed any, my bad. I just got a list of all the movies I saw, and I just put all the ones that I thought had banging cinematography.
Oh, yeah, that's a strong list.
What's your pick, man? To me, it's between a couple.
For me, I would say it's narrowed down between Strange Darling, I'm looking at my list. Strange Darling, Nosferatu, and Cuckoo. Smile 2 is in there. I'm just gonna let biasness win. I'm gonna go with Strange Darling because
I love it.
Giovanni, it's his first time, bro, and it's a beautiful film. Like some of the shots they have are very captivating and engrossing. He's been doing his homework, and you can tell. I think that's a big. I mean, they had great performances, but I think some of the shots in that movie are big reason why it succeeds
Totally.
so well, because it's
Y-
like,
y-
okay,
no, go ahead. Go ahead. Well,
nah,
what I was gonna say is like, because Nosferatu is like kind of like the one that comes to mind. You know what I mean? They did so
mhm,
much cool shit with it, but it's almost like expected in a way, and it's like
yes,
it's a movie that's set up for that. Strange
yep,
Darling could have been a movie that was shot normal,
yep.
and it might have sucked. Nosferatu could have been shot normal, and it still would have looked great because
You
of
would
the
have
set
had,
designs and
yeah,
the epicness of it all.
mm,
But Strange Darling, it just could have been like a regular basic ass movie. It could have been a regular
it,
basic ass movie if they didn't write it out of order,
not,
non-sequentially, and the cinematography. So for
yeah.
those two combined, it was almost like pound for pound. It's more important to that film in a
Yeah,
way.
no, yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, they had great performances, but you take away some of those shots, and it's just kind of like, I don't say it's not a plain movie, but it's the cinematography enhanced it quite a bit. Like it
Right.
added this sophistication, this demure to it.
Totally. My man Evan saying, damn, I
I
gotta
feel
say either Long Legs or Nosferatu. Right. Long Legs was fantastic too.
yeah.
Subtle, cool camera movements, a lot of headspace, which is something I've heard other people mention. And then when I watched it, I was like, oh yeah, it's like something about that. Like it's scary to have a bunch of empty space in
Yeah.
the screen
You
because
know
you're like,
what
where's
they
it gonna come from?
what one thing that got me with their speaking of that was when it's the scene when Nicolas Cage is walking up to the car and you don't see his face. You hear him talking though, but you just see him from like the waist. It kind of stops at like stomach to chest level,
Mm-hmm.
and I found myself like trying to peek
Yeah.
chair,
Yes.
like, so I feel like that was a good job of that. Like they did that. They were trying to incite that feeling where you're like you want a closer peek at who's this
I
real.
love shit like that. I love things
Mhm.
that invite the audience to like look around. Like
Yeah,
you can do certain things with the camera. They're like, oh, I'm supposed to be looking around and searching the screen for something right
studying. Yep.
now. Yeah.
Hmm.
Hell yeah, man. Jared saying after the House of the Dragon season 2 finale, the awards for biggest tease was sealed. Everything I saw after that was cake. Bro, I didn't see it yet, but now
I
you've
gotta
teased
finish.
me. Now
I
I
got.
feel teased. Evan saying strange, darling cinematography, fire as fuck. I might have spiced that up a little bit. And Jared saying heard good things about Strange Darling.
Oh
So
yeah.
okay, I'm gonna. So let's see. We're gonna see if this works out. Evan, Jared, for what you guys have seen, you guys get a huge vote in this. Sal, I'm gonna go. Damn, because I could get behind you. I could go Strange Darling. I'm gonna go Nosferatu just because of the scene with the shadow. That shadow scene, because that's what you have to. There's a couple shadow scenes. You have to do that if you're going to do Nosferatu. That's
Yeah.
what the original one
Yeah.
did. You've got all these shadow scenes, and the one in the movie where it's the hand going over the whole city is fucking badass. But there's another one where his hand, you see the shadow like travel up these stairs and then go up and it opens up a door. Then you open up the door and the main character's behind the door. And I was like, fuck it. I just love that shit so
Yeah.
much. So
They're
I'll give it to Nosferatu and you give it to Abigail. Can you guys help us decide? You guys want to have a vote? Is it Nosferatu or is it Strange Darling? And Evan, you saw Strange Darling and Nosferatu, so you might be the best one to vote for this. You might be the chat. You might be the deciding factor in all these, brother. Do-do-do-do. I was gonna say our original idea was to try to come to a meeting of the minds.
yeah. Oh
J-
yeah. Let's
Jared
try
says
that.
haven't seen Strange Darling, only saw Maxine, The Watcher, Alien Romulus for horror films. I'm useless as Wilson
No,
from
no,
Castaway. I think you know what? I think it's going to overcomplicate things. I say we give out 2 awards. You give out an award, and I give out an award for each one of
that's
these.
fair. That's fair.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Okay. Yeah.
Nosferatu introduction in front of the fireplace was incredible. Agreed. I just love that you didn't see him so much in the first part of the movie.
Just
The
the
whole thing was
highs.
badass. Let's do that because I don't want to. I don't want to. I feel like it's just going to get awkward for us waiting on the chat to decide each one of these. So we'll just give out our fucking awards.
And that's the chat. They can throw out there what they think is deserving of those categories.
Hells yes. All right. So Strange Darling and Nosferatu for cinematography, and let us do. What do you think is let's do the best screenplay. What do you think's the best screenplay? So here's the nominees. Is I Saw the TV Glow, which neither of us loved, but
Yeah.
we wanted to add it to the list just because I respected what they
Yeah. I
did
think.
with that story. I thought it was cool. Some of it went over my head too, so part of me was like, just in case, I should put that on the list anyway. Oddity, which I think was kind of the strong point of the movie. Strange
That's fair.
Darling, Heretic, Smile 2, and The Substance. So again, this is screenplay / story. The Substance, Smile 2, Heretic, Strange Darling, Oddity, and I Saw the TV Glow. What who you giving the
I,
Bloodsy to?
I gotta give you know what? I'm gonna give this Bloodsy to Heretic. I think that just religious movies cannot be for me sometimes, and the whole it's like a weird debate, and it's like strong arguments from each side, and it's this cat and mouse game, and I don't know. I think the script was really, like you said, Hugh Grant was fucking devious but disarming the whole time. Like as much as gnarly shit or as nefarious as things got, like he was even more polite and charming about
Right.
shit. So it was like, um, I mean, that's more based off performance, but
Well,
I gotta
still
feel
though.
like his character was written to, like
Right. Well, the way they amped him up was fucking
mhm.
perfect. And the juxtapose the
Yeah,
juxtaposition of how the girls felt and how he was acting. Like you had to write in a way that we know how the girls feel and then how he's acting the whole time was
mm-hmm.
I think I might be with you, honestly, because The Substance would be the other one for its originality, but Heretic
Yeah,
had so much in the dialogue, which is a huge part of
mm,
the screenplay. It's all dialogue. The
yeah,
Substance, I liked the twists and turns. Strange Darling, I liked the non-linear storytelling of it. Oddity, we had the multiple twists. And Smile 2 was just super complex. He's
yeah.
building lore. That's the other thing about like one of the reasons why I think Smile 2 like should be in contention is all what we've mentioned with the characters and stuff. Having that really complex relationship with the superstar character who putting her in that position made it really fucking interesting.
That
But I'm
is
gonna go
true.
with Heretic too because I think it's most dependent on it. It's you
Yes.
know what I mean. That was where my vote was. Like without the screenplay, it's nothing. It's
Yeah,
not like there's great cinematography or it's just acting and screenplay.
it's really kind of, yeah. I not to pick it up, but I don't say it's got boring shots, but yeah, like you said it best. It's like it's the dialogue that makes this how things unfold is what makes this film the most engaging. Like it doesn't necessarily have the best shot set up or but
Mm,
it's serviceable. But it is really the story and how shit plays out that really is gonna make you want to stay to the end of the film.
right.
Uh, yeah, I
Which it
think.
does so fucking well. Like it's so engaging right off the bat. Like every turn of it, it gets yeah. The more I think about it, the more I think we kind of nailed it with that. Because then once you
Hmm.
get to the second part of the movie, which I don't want to spoil, and then the third part, like yeah, the story changes enough to where there's these twists and turns. It's so basic. It's just
Hmm.
three people in a house most of the time. Like what are you without a great screenplay? But all right,
I love.
so
Oh,
we're
sorry.
giving it to Heretic. We're giving it
Yeah.
to Heretic, and I think we feel good about it. By the way, we did get a vote a little late from Evan. He said I'd say Strange Darling. He would have leaned to for it. So I think technically we could say Strange Darling does win best cinematography. Technically. Jared said, but the demons from her past threatened to pull her back into hell. She narrowly escaped. I don't know what we're talking about.
I was, I was thinking
Oh,
of
she's talking about Mel. My man's still going on about Maxine. Okay. I
uh,
feel you, brother. I feel you. He's right, and it is a pretty solid screenplay. There's things that movie Mia Goth. I don't even have her on our list of best performances, and that sucks. Like, cause she's one of the best performers, and it didn't even make. And I got 10 people on that fucking list, which we'll get
it
to in a
was
moment.
strange.
We've
Yeah,
still yet to get the best kill, best performance, scariest movie. So stick around. Let's do
yeah.
right now popcorn award, the
Okay.
best popcorn movie. Which part of the reason why I wanted to do this is so that we could put things on this, nominate things like Abigail, like VHS Beyond. So we've got those two:
Absolutely.
Abigail, VHS Beyond, Smile 2, Alien Romulus, Terrifier 3, and The Substance. I don't know if this, first of all, let's start there.
Yeah.
Do you think it kind of belongs on this list or not? Is it too
No,
heady to be a popcorn movie?
no, because I think that it's one of those movies that threads the needle. That was like you could watch this and just be entertained by the visuals and the crazy shit going on screen. But if you want to dissect it and get cerebral with it, there's plenty of themes that littered throughout this movie for you to pick at and have fun with. Is
Mhm.
what it's trying to speak on. So it strikes that fine balance. But I you don't have you don't, it's not gonna like you watch this and you're like, well, what is the point in that? Like it's just a
Right.
monster
You're not
and
going to
it's
be
like,
confused by it. You
yeah,
know what they're trying to do. Yeah, you're right. It's dealing with deep issues, but not in a way that you're like, oh, I can't figure this out. You're like, oh my
mhm,
god, and it's entertaining the whole way through.
yep.
So they're not pulling any punches when it comes to that.
It's probably the most sophisticated popcorn movie on the list.
By the way,
Film.
my man's was talking about heretics as far as. Oh no. What was I saying? He was talking about
Okay,
screenplay when it came to Strange
Strange
Darling, which
Darling.
I'm with you on that too, brother. The fucking again, watch Strange Darling, people.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Jared says every time I see the word heretic, I think of Joan of Arc. Sale saying the substance has pop culture elements to it. It was fun to watch too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, okay, so again, the nominees for Popcorn Award: The Substance, Terrifier 3, Abigail, Alien Romulus, VHS Beyond, and Smile 2. What say you, Missing Link? Who you giving it to?
This might be a little an easier one. I got to go with Alien Romulus, man. Because I told you I've seen that quite a few times this year, but it's a film you can just kind of throw on and have fun with. Like, it's you got if you want to see some aliens getting blasted away or some people getting xenomorphed and face huggered, kid calls it. He delivers that. And you don't have to put too much thought in. Like, well, so where the xenomorphs? It's something that I think Prometheus kind of got too lost in that
Yeah.
divided people. No, I loved it. Where the xenomorphs come from? It got too lost in the source of the origin of that, and
Hmm.
you just want to see xenomorphs fucking kill people sometimes.
On Disney Plus.
On
You know
Disney,
what I
yeah,
mean?
Disney. I'm telling you, people, they are a dirty mouse. But
Uh,
no, this
I'm with
is
you, by the way. I'm good. I think this is a unanimous decision, at least from us on the panel. I think it's Alien Romulus all day.
yeah,
Like I love to be able to put VHS Beyond there because we both enjoyed it so much. But I would say Alien Romulus and Smile 2.
yeah, more
Like Terrifier
universal,
3 I put on there because it's got all the fun elements, but it's
and it's
also like
Christmas.
you might like be grossed out by the popcorn at some points. You know what I mean? It's not like, it is hard to watch. But Alien Romulus for me and for you and for Evan. So it is a unanimous decision.
Yep.
Panel and chat going with Alien Romulus as the best popcorn movie of the year. So hell yeah, man. That leaves us with we still have best villain, best performance. Let's do scariest movie. So I thought this was really tricky because first of all, we're vetted horror and professionals over here. We don't, you know what I mean? We don't fucking get scared. We're tough guys. But actually, that's not true, at least as far as I go. There weren't many that I found like scary. Like it's hard for me to even think of like, oh, a moment that gets me. I'm lucky if one out of like 10 or 15 horror movies that I watched, if there's a moment that gets me, either jump
Yeah.
scare or like something more atmospheric, then it's like, hell yeah, that was awesome. But I'm trying to think, I don't think there's really anyway. So here's the nominees. I have Heretic, Oddity, Terrifier 3, Smile 2, and Nosferatu. Again, Nosferatu, Smile 2, Terrifier 3, Oddity, and Heretic. And I'll go ahead. I'll go first with my vote this time. So I feel like I'm putting you on the spot for every one of them. I feel just to real quick, I'd say Nosferatu has a really great atmosphere and it does have a couple really good jump scares. And the fucking Dracula himself looks really creepy. So it's got that going for it. So that would be one that I would really consider. But I'm going to say Terrifier 3 just because it made me feel so fucking uncomfortable on my first watch. And I don't know, it really, not that it's scary, but it's tough to watch at times. And
Yes.
Art the Clown is fucking, yeah, out of all the slasher villains, he might be the scariest. I'm not going to say
Yeah.
he's my favorite, but there's something pretty freaky about him. So I'm going Terrifier 3.
Yeah. Even I'm saying, yeah, that's a struggle, man. Because I'm sitting here thinking like the last genuine scare I think I've gotten was out of Smile One, where she's on the computer and the fucking ghost is
Mm-hmm.
whispering, and then it's on the side of her, like that. I was like, oh my god, that genuinely.
Rose. Yeah.
Yes.
That's one
Yes.
of the, I mean, for me, that's like one of the greatest jump scares. I'm prone to hyperbole of all time, at least in the
I
past 20 years. Like that's like an epic one, I think.
No, yeah, because I'll be it's hard to really, get me with shit. So it's like the fact that one genuinely got me. I was unsettled. Even with the movies I've loved this year, though, I don't know if I necessarily found them. scary. There's elements like maybe
Right.
like Oddity and shit with
Yeah.
at the beginning and the tent scene, but I gotta go with I'll go with you on Terrifier 3. I
Hell
because
yeah.
there was, like I said, there was a or on the when we covered it, I remember saying like there was something about it was just disturbing with you know some of the yeah, I don't know, it didn't even have anything crazy about it. Maybe it might have been like the implication, like the whole I'm trying to think of a spoiler free, but the aunt scene and how she was exited 69 and you know
Wait,
how
wait. We're talking Terrifier 3?
yeah,
The ant. Which one's the the
sure,
rat scene? The rat down the
rat scene.
throat bit? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, it's
And just
more
the
like gore and
mindset of them.
disgust, but as far as like giving you an actual feeling,
Hmm.
I don't know. Another like a moment that I thought about was in Heretic when they go to the basement, and I was like, "Oh shit!" But it reminded me so much of Barbarian, and I think one of the scariest moments in the past like handful of years for me is that moment in Barbarian.
Charge. Yeah.
So yeah, like even when she's making her way down to the basement, but yes, when Skarsgård comes up. But I think like that moment in Heretic reminded me too much of that moment in Barbarian for it to really be
You
that
kind
effective.
Right, right. That same year, because I was say I did want to say Heretic, but I was like there was something so similar to it, compared to Barbarian, that I was kind of expecting some shit to pop off. You know, as soon as the
Mm,
surprised like I was in Barbarian when they're going in the basement, and I'm knowing some shit's gonna pop off. So I don't think like that really had as much of an effect as maybe someone who maybe the more casual moviegoer.
right.
Obviously, the director was intending for that to have an effect on you, but if you've seen that Barbarian, you're kind of like, I know where this is going. Shit's not gonna go any better by going into the basement.
Bring
Um,
out the 7 foot tall naked lady. Come on, let's fucking get to it.
but in I think for me it was Terrifier was the mindset of the rat scene with the and the stipulate or the circumstances that were playing in that
Oh
scene.
yes. Oh, exactly. Especially because you get the reaction to that right afterwards. That was fucking gnarly. Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, actually, the more I think about it, it's pretty easy for me. Nosferatu did have some moments, like my
Yeah,
man somebody said down there. Evan said my top 5 for the year is Longlegs #1, Nosferatu, Strange Darling, The Substance, and Alien Romulus. Fucking very,
solid top five.
very,
I
very
got.
strong.
Oh yeah,
D dog, you old son of a bitch. What up, my brother? Says Nosferatu had a couple moments that got me in the theater. I knew it
I
was
can
you.
see that.
I knew it was you. Yeah, no, it got a couple like the very opening scene. Like he comes up, grabs her by the throat or whatever. Like in the very opening scene, it got me. And a couple times later on, and just like when you first meet him and his voice is so badass. Evan saying he's going with Terrifier 3 as well for scariest movie of the year because art is creepy as fuck. So I could say Smile 2 because the music can be creepy in moments and it can be anxiety
Yeah.
inducing. I like Smile 2 is definitely up there as having like some of the gnarliest moments. Such a fucking great movie.
Oh, you know what just came to mind? The
Oh,
apartment
good
scene.
point right here, Sal from Heretic. The statue.
Oh, you thought it was.
That's
Mhm.
probably the creepiest moment of that movie. That's a good call because it happens before the basement bit, which reminded me so much of
Oh
Barb.
yeah, when they're trying.
That's
Yo,
probably the
yeah, I
scariest moment of
remember
the
that.
movie.
Because I remember thinking, like, okay, like, because he's walked away at this point, you don't notice the girls aren't following behind you, and then they think to see him in the hallway, and he's just standing there in the dark, all fucking like
Yeah,
creep, and it's
perfectly
not even
still.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, Smile too. You know what I did that was another creepy scene, but it wasn't overtly, but it was just, I guess, just how they did it was the apartment scene where all her backup dancers are in her
Oh
trailer or whatever.
yes, yes. Got it. Yeah, I forgot all about that. That's one of my favorite scenes. It's absolutely
Hmm.
insane. That's kind of
Yeah.
like it. Like in a nutshell, that's what I love so much about those movies because it's so beautiful and stylized. Like what they're doing is like so
The
cool and
movements. Yeah.
artsy and everything, but it's so mainstream at the same time
Mm.
and like creative. But it doesn't feel as artsy as it looks at times in that movie.
True. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that if I would have thought about that, I might have leaned harder in that scene. Might have leaned harder to that for the cinematography bit. But let us move on. So
Mhm.
Terrifier 3 gets scariest movie of the year. The Bloodsie goes to Terrifier 3. So we have
Yes, sir.
left, we have best kill, best performance, best villain, and best practical effects movie. So let's do that one now.
Okay. All right.
Best practical effects movie. So we
Oh,
have the nominees are, which again, this is why I'm glad to do it. This is the only thing we haven't really had a chance much to talk about in a violent nature, which is the first nominee. The Substance, which is nominated for like most of these fucking lists or
yeah.
categories. Alien Romulus, Maxine, Terrifier 3, and Smile 2. Now, Smile 2, my issue is like they go out of their way to use so much practical effects, but then like
And
I
the
feel, and we
CGI.
mentioned this when we reviewed it. Yeah, they always use all this CGI blood that looks like shit. It's like, bro, you're ruining all the good
Yeah.
work these people are putting in on the practical effects. But what do you think? Which one do you think a movie as a whole has the best
I,
practical effects?
I gotta go with the Substance, man. I feel
Me too,
like
bro. I'm with you.
you're okay. Yeah,
Had
I
to.
don't know. I even they did what they're supposed to do. Like I don't mind if a movie uses CGI to enhance some shit, but make sure most of it is practical effects and the CGI is just complementing, making shit a little bit more seamless. And Substance did it perfectly. Yeah, that's something that irritating was like because I feel like even though I love the opening scene of Smile too, I feel like that's where I saw a lot of like the fucking was like
Hmm.
the gunshots, fake CGI blood or something like that, and I'm just like, bro, they
It's
were
something
doing
about the
this
way it
like 20,
squirts. Like it
yeah,
squirts just like it's
it's
really obvious that it's not real blood. Now, with that particular scene, I kind of get why they'd want to use CGI blood because it was like a 10-minute one shot.
right. You
And the
quick,
blood
yeah, yeah,
fucks up or
yeah.
whatever. I don't know. But then again, I do think they used some real blood in that scene. I heard the director
Well,
talk
they
about
did.
it. Yeah.
That was good, but there's certain elements that I'm trying to think of the shot that it was that I was thinking of. The Paul Walker movie Running Scared, which is a great movie,
Mm.
but this came out like early 2006, so it was shot in 2005, and at the 20 years ago, it was cool to be used in CGI. All the gunshots in this are
Right.
CGI, and I got kind of elements of that with the opening scene of Smile too. And I'm
Hmm.
thinking like 20 years removed from this, like, but
Right.
it wasn't enough to take me out of it. But I definitely feel like it was more obvious and glaring as opposed to the substance where I feel like the substance should have been more obvious that it's using CGI because of the the kaiju human shit she turns into, whatever she turns into. But it's disturbing, and even okay, so that ending scene where it's like the puddle, you
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that was dope as shit, but
I love
obviously,
it.
but that's what I'm saying. It works well. It didn't take me out of it, as
Hmm.
opposed to like some this minor. It's a minor thing in Smile too, but like I said, I was like, oh, that reminds me of Running Scared to the CGI blood.
Hmm.
You know, I didn't get any of that in the Substance. I think they balanced it well, so I
Well,
gotta go.
I'm right there with you. It seems like the chat is too. Evan's saying, "Yeah, I'll go with the Substance for effects." Sale says Substance is a good choice. Also mentioning, great point here. I saw a video about
That's
all
a
the
runner.
practical effects in or Alien Romulus. That would have been maybe my second choice. I mean,
Yeah,
Terrifier 3 obviously does a fucking phenomenal job. It's got
yeah,
insane practical effects and a lot of them and a lot of different elements of it. With Alien Romulus, what I respect about it is they're like I think they're the first Alien movie since like part 3 to really use mostly practical effects.
mhm,
All the face huggers, all the xenomorphs are practical. It looks phenomenal, but like they didn't have to come up with any cool designs. You know
right.
what I mean? HR Giger did all the heavy lifting. They just had to rebuild the shit, which credit to them. Don't get me wrong. But the Substance, they created that. That's a crazy look. And there's like a few different like versions of
Mm-hmm.
the way that Demi Moore
Like
looks.
from Dragon Ball Z, like
Right. Yeah. She keeps on like, so there's like a metamorphosis going on. Even just like the ripping her back and there's just a lot of cool elements of it. And then you got to give her respect for putting that on and wearing it
oh,
and all
and
that.
bro, let's the Nosferatu meme you had sent me the other day, like
Yeah.
that's Demi Moore, bro. Like that's crazy. Like that makeup is perfect. Like that was so on point. She's got like the hunchback and the really sexy skin. Yeah, it had a really. I think because I don't think people pay attention enough to that. Is like that's one of the most horrific things. Is like when your body is turning on you, you don't know what's going on with your body.
For
It's like
real.
your body changing, and you're like, oh fuck, I don't feel like I've changed anything. Why is my body changing? I've kept the same
Well,
diet, and
that's why like fucking David Cronenberg, people always compare his work to like cancer. It's
hmm
like that's what's scary. If you really think about it, her body is doing all this crazy stuff that she can't stop. And like, yeah,
yep,
that's like the real fear that we have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to you? Especially you live in the United States, like, or whatever. That's like your most likely way to die. You're not going to die violently or rarely, but
To be
cancer
fucking
is what's most likely going to get you or something like that. Okay, so The Substance wins Best Practical Effects Movie. The Bloodsies goes to The Substance. So we have left. I'm trying to save the best ones for the end. We got Best Performance, Best Villain, and Best Kill. Let's do
okay.
Best Villain.
Okay.
So we got great ones here. Nosferatu, Longlegs, played by Nicolas Cage, James McAvoy's character from Speak No Evil, the Smiler, who I just added that in there because
Oh,
it's not a performance, but it's a character. Like the Smiler,
yeah.
that's what they call the guy in Smile. He is a villain. He's not really seen in his well, I guess he is at the end. Art the Clown, and of course, Hugh Grant, the scariest of them all. So to recap, we have Hugh Grant from Heretic, Art the Clown, the Smiler from Smile 2, James McAvoy's character from Speak No Evil, Nicolas Cage's character Longlegs from Longlegs, and Nosferatu, played by Bill Skarsgård. What
All
say
very
you, my brother?
all very solid, strong performances. Every single one of them. I'm kind of leaning towards Heretic and Longlegs, surprisingly.
Hmm.
Even though it wasn't one of the movie I listed, I gotta recognize Nick Cage for bringing some. I don't even want to say it's gravitas, but he brought something to that. Having fun. Um, while it's disturbing, it gets a little kooky and zany sometimes. I don't want to say the realm of disbelief, but almost. But where Hugh Grant is a little bit more believable, and his
Hmm.
connivingness and I don't know. It's she's so fucking charming and polite that it's like too sweet to be kind or some shit. I don't know.
Right.
I gotta go. You know what? I'll just be real. Hugh Grant, because I'm sitting here thinking of like the scenes where he's sitting there just fucking singing into while they're locked in the basement. He's singing to
I'm a
them.
weirdo.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And then I'm thinking of the scene where the lady that he's one of not to spoil it, but the switcheroonie he does on them, and meanwhile he knows all of this is going on, where he's got
Hmm.
certain things, and he's just like, I'm gonna let him believe what they believe, and it's all gonna be good. He doesn't ever get upset. He's just this happy cherry. I need you to be a believer, and to be a witness for this. And I don't know, there's something very off-putting about how happy and like it's almost like truly evil, because in the movie he discusses about how he was trying to find the true religion, and it's like his politeness almost like contrasts what the
Hmm.
true religion I guess would be. And I don't know, there's something very disturbing about how polite and nice he is, but he's doing all these heinous things while
Right.
being polite and kind
Well,
about it.
again, that's like very fucking real life. You know what I mean? He's a politician. Basically,
Yes.
he's
Yeah.
smiling while he's stabbing you in the gut. Yeah, I think here. Let me look at the list again. So Hugh Grant, Art the Clown, the Smiler, James McAvoy, Longlegs, and Nosferatu.
All very
Oh
good.
God! Now, as far as performances go, it would be between Hugh Grant, like traditional performances. Hugh Grant does the most performing. He does the
Yes.
most. He's got the most words. He's got the most to do. Art the Clown, though, nobody could
Iconic.
do that the way Art the Clown does. Like there is a
It's
performance
true.
going on there. It's super important performance.
And he has no dialogue. That's
Yeah, no
that's true.
dialogue. But as far as like I'm taking in not just the performance, which I know you were also taking in like the character as well. I gotta go with my man Evan. Evan says before Nosferatu, I'd say Longlegs, but now I gotta go with Orlok. I gotta
And
go
that's fair.
with Count Orlok.
That's
That
fair.
this
Yeah.
version of Dracula, the mustachioed fucking Count Dracula, which we actually get in the book, that voice is so crazy. That's like so crazy.
And
The look and like the look of him at the end of the movie.
mm,
Spoiler, they kill him. But like that look when he fucking is killed, I just love that so much. It's so fucking cool looking. And I don't think all these will be remembered, but he's
yeah.
going to be
Oh,
remembered and talked about for a long time because we're never going to stop getting vampire movies and we're never going to stop getting Dracula adaptations. So he's always going to be brought up again. Every time a new Dracula
That's
movie
it.
comes out, they're going to be like, well, Bill Skarsgård. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't. What I liked about his was that he wasn't like a. I don't want to say like he wasn't like the stereotype like sophisticated demure vampire.
right.
He was authoritative though. You know, he still had like an air of like I think what vampires possesses like an air of
Aristocrat.
y-
He's an
yeah,
aristocrat. I don't know how to
yeah.
say that the way I wanted to.
No, aristocraticness. Aristides are very, but no, yeah, I think that he wasn't smooth, but he still had that air of him, like he was authoritative and he had a presence about him.
Right. He still
So
comes
I,
off as like more high society and more
yeah,
intelligent than
yeah,
Nicholas Holt's character. He's smarter
hmm
than everybody in the
yep.
movie. He's more
So that's what.
disgusting, but he's smarter, which is spot on for
Mhm.
Dracula from the book. Again, like Dracula as described in the book, disgusting looking, but well, actually, he's more polite than the Orlok that we get in this. He's much more charming.
Or like some more
In the
the
book, he is charming, and then he becomes an asshole.
okay,
But the
okay.
sophistication is there. So boom, you're saying Hugh Grant. I'm saying Nosferatu. Evan is saying Nosferatu. Does anybody else have a vote on this one? Like the other thing, I wanted to compare him to Longlegs because Longlegs and Orlok are a good comparison because of all the prosthetics and how like it's a really weird character that is nothing
Yeah,
like their normal like voice,
right.
and we don't see them very much. So they're just sprinkled in. But for me, I
True.
appreciate more of what we get from Nosferatu because I don't want to spoil Longlegs, but what happens with Longlegs in the movie where like Nosferatu, he's there in the end scene. And like there's something about Longlegs not being there at the end, like that's kind of
That's kind
annoying
of
to me. It takes away from something
yeah.
from him.
I agree with that. No, yeah, I
Oh, Sal said Orlok too.
and you know I was gonna say like I don't want to say because Skarsgård's playing a fucking vampire, so because I was gonna say Nicolas Cage's performance kind of pushes towards the wrong disbelief. Mind you, Skarsgård's playing a vampire, but there's something more credible, or I don't know. Like you said, I think it does that fact that he sees it to the end. Like you know, he
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't he was like you said earlier. He was smarter than every other character. That's something Longlegs. And that's kind of why it reminded me of Seven too.
Well,
It's
that's the thing about Longlegs that you're making me think of. Like that's part of his plan. He planned to
right.
not be there at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
And he
he that
planned
was
what I think what happens at the end of the movie is part of his plan too. I don't know. You know what I mean? So there he's more mysterious. But
true. His motives are
thinks that that's because it could be always because it was written well and it left a lot of mystery. But part of me, I just get the feeling with that he, like it's
okay.
just hand wavy. It's like, oh no, Long Legs works the mysterious ways. Like we don't explain how he works. Like I don't know. I think you don't know how he works, bro. You know what I
No,
mean?
yeah. No, and you know what? That could be just like a nuance of Cage's performance, where it, like had anybody else performed as Long Legs, we might not be talking about it as much. But
Right, right.
Cage
It's a good point.
is
The same
gravitas
thing
to
with
him.
Micah Monroe. If you get a
Yeah.
different cast, that movie would have been so different without Micah
What
Monroe and Nicolas Cage.
what else was she in? Because I know
She's
she was in.
She did It Follows, which was the big one from 2015. She's quite a bit younger in that. Big, huge movie. Really similar plot wise to Smile, which what
Right.
like Fallen, where there's
Right.
like a
Okay.
monster
This.
traveling from person to person. But then recently she did one called The Watcher, which is a Shutter original. It's kind of like a Rear Window thing. I haven't seen it, but people love it. And she did another one that's on Paramount Plus called Significant Other, which is like she's off. I really want to watch this fucking movie. I started it once and it seemed good. I didn't get around to finishing it. But she's off in the woods with her boyfriend. They're like out on this trip, like hiking
Hmm.
through the woods, and he proposes to her and she says no. And that's how the movie starts. And then
And he.
it's supposed to go like sci-fi from there. So it's like this wilderness stuck, yeah, like wilderness
Ah,
horror sci-fi. I think. Don't quote me on the sci-fi thing. I think I haven't seen it, but
significant
it was
other.
a really good setup, and it seemed cool.
Okay. I'll check that out. Significant.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Watcher, my man says, just called
Watch
Watcher
it.
on Shutter. Hell yeah. So she was in The Guest with Dan Stevens, which is sick. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, I seen the guest. Yo, okay. I'm gonna have to go back and I haven't seen it. I think it came out like 2014 actually. It's been a minute.
So can we get you to switch your vote to Nosferatu? Can we give the
Yeah, yeah.
Bloodseed to Nosferatu?
No, yeah, I'll give it because I, you know what, he because Hugh Grant was kind of playing into the typecast of what people expect from him. You know, wasn't
right.
outside. He's playing. You know, he was playing his charm in a different way, but we've
Right.
seen him do this before. You know.
Yeah, I don't want to
So,
take anything away from Hugh Grant though, because it is the shit.
no,
Like,
it's
like
amazing,
I
but
got no notes on his performance, and it's like I don't know. I'm with you too, where he does a lot more. He's more important to it, but there's just something about like I don't know the count or like I think they did so much with the look and the
yeah.
voice, and like my man was saying, the way he changed
If,
his voice and
if you can, it reminds me of Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker. Skarsgård is like another Heath Ledger where it's like he gets, you can't see him in Pennywise, you can't see him in some of these roles he does, and I think that's amazing, you know, because he's got a weird look to him, but I kind of say he's kind of a pretty boy as well, where it's like he could be just cast based off his looks, but he takes these roles that kind of take away from his
right.
looks. I respect that, you know.
Totally, man. Yeah. He's this pretty boy that keeps playing the fucking monster. And he likes
Mm-hmm.
to pick really different roles. He likes to switch his voice up, which I love. I love, like Leonardo DiCaprio never does it as extreme as what we're getting from him. But I
Yeah,
love that. I love when people really throw themselves into a
go
role
for
with
it.
the voice. Evan's
Yeah,
saying he really likes Significant Other, and it does have a touch of sci-fi. D-Dog
yeah.
saying, have you seen the trailer for Companion? From the producers of Barbarian. No, I've heard of it. I've
I
heard
have.
people talking about it. It's coming out in I think the next couple months.
Okay.
Uh, I don't watch trailers, but I have heard of it. It wasn't on our list when we did our top 25 or most anticipated movies of 2025,
Oh yeah,
but I
it
did
was.
hear about it afterwards. Evan says Micah is also cool in a cool ass horror comedy with Bill Skarsgård. You guys have to check it out. Called Villains from 2019. Yes, I seen this. This is streaming
Is
somewhere,
is
and I'm
this
like
when
Bill Skarsgård and Micah Monroe. It looks cool.
is this where they invade a house?
I
Like
think so.
I've seen this. Yo, yeah, that was a good one. Oh, I don't I don't know why I watched this though. Like I'm like it's not like I was on a Skarsgård trip, but I might have been. He's the only one in the movie that I really knew of, but I might have been looking at his page like, oh, what is this? You know,
Yeah,
and
I
turned
saw
it
that
on.
recently. Like, there's another one called like Bone Marrow or some movie that's got Mia Goth, Anya Taylor-Joy, Jonathan from Stranger Things, and I'm like, what the fuck? Marrow Bone? It came out in
What?
like 2019. Yeah, it's got all these people, and I think even someone else. I'm like, what? How the hell have I never heard of this? But it's
I
supposed
will
to
be
be pretty
watching it.
good too. But clearly, it's not like amazing. I think everybody would have heard of it. But all right.
So yeah.
So the Bloodsie goes to Nosferatu for best villain, which leaves us with best performance overall and best kill. What do you want to do? What do you want to do for next?
Let's do best kill. We'll say performance.
All right, I'll dig it. So best kill. And this one was tricky. I had to look at some lists just in case I'm forgetting shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I put in there, and there's a couple in there. The first two actually aren't your typical kills, but long legs for this face smash suicide. That's a kill. That was a wild
Yeah.
kill. The substance. I kept seeing this on lists, and like I said, I've only seen this once, but the way she dies at the end, I think that's kind of like the whole. I don't know. Personally, I'm not going to vote for it, but I wanted it to be on the list because it is a kill and it is a crazy like set piece ending.
Yeah.
The more I look at it, the first three that I'm listing off aren't really kills. Oddity, the tent kill that we mentioned earlier. You see it off screen. It was very artsy. I wanted it nominated just because it was so fucking cool.
That's fair. Yeah.
I'm not voting for it, but it is very, very cool.
The implication.
Now this is another one. This is Suitable Flesh. It premiered in 2023 at festivals. That actually came out streaming. The first time most people could watch this movie was 2024. So the rear view window or the rear view camera kill, you remember that? She's looking in the like she's in a car and she's got a rear view cam and you're just seeing the cam and it's backing into someone. It keeps fucking
Going back.
smashing
Yeah.
them. It's
Yeah.
so cool and
Okay.
creative. It's like, yeah, they nailed that. That deserved to be nominated. And then I feel like the kills that the two best kills in a violent nature, the yoga kill, the cliffside kill, the yoga pretzel, I've heard it called, where he takes this woman, he like punches a hole through her stomach, or he puts a hook through her stomach. What's he do? Oh, he puts the hook through her head and then wraps it through her stomach and bends her body back around. It's fucking insane. And then Terrifier 3, and there could have been a bunch from Terrifier 3. There could have been a few more from In a Violent Nature, but I picked one from each. Terrifier 3, I went with the shower kill. If anyone has
Oh,
any other nominees they'd like to throw out, I'm more than willing to hear your arguments. But what say you, man? Whoa,
mm,
breaking shit. What do you think is the best kill of 2024?
damn, I gotta say the shower kill gets me just because I love the little touch of the blood angel he does at the very
Oh
end.
yeah, I
Like
forgot. Oh,
I
I
just
didn't
think,
mention the smile too. The dude smashing his face with the weight. I didn't mention that one, but that's on the list as well.
ooh,
Sorry to cut you off.
no, that was a good one because I remember thinking like, fuck, bro, like how even if you're possessed, how does the body still stand after that? Um, but yeah, no, I'll stick with Terrifier 3, the shower scene, just because I we touched on it when we covered it, but there's like
Mm,
when you're in a shower, there's even though clothing can be so thin, it's really not going to stop anything like a knife or a bullet or a chainsaw to
right.
begin with. But the idea of it touching the bare flesh and there's nothing there to safeguard it is just
Wet.
terrifying. And he,
What you
yeah,
mentioned,
wet.
like the fact that, like, ew, just think about like cutting your finger. Now think about getting your finger pruny and cutting it. You're like, oh, it's so much.
Yeah,
Why is it so much worse? That's
yes.
weird, but it is way worse. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
I just feel like it would be cut up more. I don't know. Something
You're
gross
more
about wet skin being sliced open.
you're vulnerable in every sense. Like you like this wet skin, you're easier to get damaged, even though for adaptive purposes, we don't live underwater, but it's easier for us to grab things when our skins get soggy. But not in,
Right.
yeah, no, you're completely vulnerable. And then in the situation they were in, where it's just like it's like happy time, and then it turned into shit time very quickly.
Right, and it just goes on and on.
Yeah,
And we haven't even mentioned the chainsaw up the asshole or the dick and balls getting shredded. Like, it's insane. He cuts the guy's fingers off, he cuts her titties off. It's fucking and well, this is my vote too. I'm going with it as well. And the fact that this whole time it's this podcast. It's like, oh, I would kill to see Art the Clown in action. I want to smell his, you know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
fucking insane. It really was there was like something deeper to it too. It's a
yeah,
super gnarly kill with something to be said going on.
yes,
So yeah, I gotta go with it, man. What did Sal saying the yoga girl kill comes to mind? Definitely.
that was gnarly. Yeah,
Saying I'd have to say Evan saying he's going with long legs smashing his face or the Terrifier 3 shower scene. Uh Evan saying
yeah.
something about people smashing their face gets me. That makes me think of Hereditary. Something crazy about that scene in Hereditary where the kid smashes his face. That shit. But yeah, that's when I wouldn't have thought of, and I'm really glad I looked at some lists to be like, oh yeah, the long
That
legs kill. There's
yeah.
a one worth mentioning that in a violent nature when the dude the wood splitter scene and the guy like gets his head cut off by the wood splitter. There's a couple in Terrifier or in a violent nature. Terrifier 3 when the guy gets his face like fucking peeled off. We mentioned
Oh
earlier the
yes.
ant, the rat, the tube shoved down the throat with the rat coming out of her fucking neck. Like, obviously, Terrifier's got a bunch of them. This could have just been the Terrifier 3
Yeah, yeah.
in a
'Cause
violent nature list. Max, I had Maxine on. There was a couple from
Maxine's a good.
Maxine. I couldn't really pick, like the Kevin Bacon getting killed in the car.
That was
Kind of
gnarly.
cool, but it's different. Her friend,
Best friend
the dude that
Peter.
works in the video store, that's a
Yes.
really cool kill.
Yeah.
That's like a stylish, like Giallo kill. We're getting all these close-ups of the knife, and it's like got an artistic flair to it. And then,
Mhm.
dude, does she kill the guy in the alley? That she stomps on his fucking nuts.
They.
Which, by the way, that scene that's now the second gnarliest nuts getting ripped apart scene of the year. Once
I
Terrifier
believe.
3 came out, you're like, oh, whatever. He's
Yeah.
stomping on his nuts, no big deal. you know.
Stomping on nuts as opposed to like a chainsaw to the ass crack and stuff is just a different breed. But I gotta assume that he. I don't know. I feel like maybe he did die because I. But
I can't
maybe he could
remember.
have.
She
They
puts
they
the gun
cut.
in
To
his
be honest,
mouth.
they
He
cut
definitely,
when she stepped on
yeah,
his
you're
nuts. They
right.
cut right. But uh, I will follow the movie logic. If we don't see him die on screen, then he still
Right.
has It still has a chance.
She definitely fucked his day up. Like he had a terrible, terrible day. D-Dog saying
Cannibal.
honorable mention to the gerbil scene in Terrifier 3. I was calling her rat. Maybe it's a gerbil. Maybe I fucked that up.
No, it was right. Yeah.
Evan says Maxine, the Kevin Bacon kill. My man's Frank, media and reviews. What up, my brother? Says afternoon. I definitely say the yoga kill and some of the ones you mentioned. I didn't expect it from that movie. I know. That's such a badass kill. To me, that was the highlight of like the first half of the year, as far as like gnarly ass slasher scene. There wasn't a lot of like looking on my list. There's not a lot of slashers that came out this year that I watched. Honestly,
no,
let me look at that right now. Is there any?
I think it was just
Maxine slasher kind of giallo. In a Violent Nature. You know who I want to mention real quick is the killer from Don't Move. Finn.
Oh,
You know what I mean? The guy from American Horror Story.
Yes.
I thought he was great. He was a really great villain in performance that I just couldn't nominate him compared to, can't put him up against Long Legs and all that, but he was a real standout performance. Anyway, just as I'm going through it, no, fucking one slasher. In a Violent Nature is the only one that I saw. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no. No, I was gonna say Finn kind of gave me like vibes of Hugh Grant a little bit, where he's got this really charming, nice guy thing to him. I'd like to see him in more though, for sure, because he was the highlight of that film.
Yeah, I thought that was an excellent little movie. It was as good as it could be. I gave it like a 3.5. It started good. It had a good middle. It had a good ending, good performances, but it was just like a small movie. Yeah, but I do recommend it. It's on Netflix. It's a fun little suspense thriller.
It kind of reminded me of what is the one that Mike Flanagan did with the deaf chick, where she's in the middle of the
Hush.
Kind of gave me those vibes, and I think they're both like a Netflix. They're up their game, but for a while you can only expect so much quality from Netflix films, and I think those are top tier when it comes to like thriller horror Netflix originals.
Right.
Yeah. I think it was the main chick, but there was a few scenes that I thought were super dope, like where the cabin scene where he's setting the cabin up.
That was great. Yeah, I think like as suspense scene of the year, that's up there as being one of the most like, you know what I mean? It really had me going. You're like, you care about that character and you don't want her to burn alive while paralyzed. It's just like, yeah, it's a really good fucking scene. Okay, so I think, let me double check because I don't want to miss anything. I've been doing all these out of order, but I think we've done them all besides the best performance of the year. So to recap, we had as the worst movie of the year, you picked you picked Watcher, which I didn't see, and I went with Salem's Lot because of the
that's fair.
The disappointing nature of it. For cinematography, what did my man say? Oh, he was talking script. For cinematography, we never decided. You're going Strange Darling. I'm going Nosferatu. We get 2 Bloodsies for that one. I'm good with it because we didn't get a clear cut answer from the chat either. But if you guys want to chip in now, let us know. For screenplay, best story of the year, we went Heretic. Feel really good about that. So dependent on the screenplay. For popcorn movie, the most entertaining film of the year, we pretty handily picked Romulus as the best popcorn movie of the year. Scariest film of the year, hard one. Not too much scared us this year, but Terrifier 3.
Yeah.
Terrifier 3, the most disturbing, the one that made me feel the most nasty shit while watching it.
Yeah.
Speaking of nasty shit, the practical effects film of the year, The Bloodsies, went to The Substance, which really, like, there wasn't even that much in it. It was just that well done. It was just all the stuff with Demi Moore, like her different looks, like won the day for it. And then villain of the year, we went with Nosferatu, man, with Hugh Grant coming up as a close runner-up, and Art the Clown. Art the Clown, he's up there for me. He crushed it.
No, yeah. That's such a strong year that it's like you could list. I couldn't be mad at anyone listing these 3 as their main the villains of the year.
Totally.
Or just because he wasn't listed, like the fact that he has we covered this, we said it many times, but the fact that he has no dialogue but still such a standout and iconic character, like I think to be honest, one of the more fucked up scenes for me just because I thought I was gonna take a turn, whereas he was on the subway and the dude was like in the OG art costume and he wants to take pictures of
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, you're
And there's
expecting him to
just
kill him for sure.
yeah, and because he's smiling at him all weird and shit. But I don't know. Like once again, like I think that's just big ups to props to art because he has no line of dialogue whatsoever ever through any of his 3 movies, 4 movies, maybe 5, including the short films or something. Is it 4?
Yeah, I mean the character's been in other ones, but that actor's only done the main 3. My favorite bit is when he smacks the girl in the back of the head, Sienna in the back
Oh
of the
yeah,
head. There's something about that, like his performances and his, just the way he's the only one that thinks he's funny. He's doing the
yes,
most horrific shit
yeah,
ever. He thinks it's so funny. He's the absolute only one. Sal's got a good point. This was a cool, different kind of kill. That's the thing.
yes,
This year, not having slashers is not filled up with all these traditional kills. We're getting all this
yep.
creative shit. This one could have been more creative because it was taken out of the original Omen movie. There's the same scene in that, but they spiced
The
it up
context of it.
with the fire and just the way it was
Yeah,
shot in this. Yeah, Evan's saying, yeah, Maxine had some great ones, but they don't take the prize. I also put that in for practical effects movie because they did use all practical. You've got
true.
the dude's head being blown off at the end. Won't say who it is. Don't want to
Yep.
spoil it, but that's cool. That looked really good too. Says no, she didn't kill that dude, but that shit was crazy as fuck about the guy getting his nuts stomped on, and he's saying he would give it to Nosferatu for cinematography as well. So I think we can. We can give the Bloodsy to Nosferatu then.
I will say, Strange Darling didn't have any CGI in it. But that's all
True,
I
it
wanted.
is
So
true. It is true. Yeah, none at all. That is true, and it was so dependent on it. But all right, so that leaves us with our final category, and we've got 10 nominees for this. I really
ooh,
we're gonna do best performance is our last one. I really struggled, man. I had originally I was gonna do best lead performance and then supporting role. And then I'm like, oh, we should do best villain, which we did.
yeah,
Well, maybe we
yeah,
do best villain, best hero, final girl. And I looked, there's not enough final girls. So I just said, fuck it, best performance, and we'll
that's fair.
nominate fucking everybody that performed amazingly well. So let's go through all 10 nominees and then we'll each pick our favorite one. And then you guys from the chat help us decide who gets the Bloodsy for best
It'll be the
performance
hardest one for
of
sure.
the year. So going through them all, the first 2 are from Strange Darling. It's Kyle Gallner and Willa Fitzgerald, which that fucked me up right there. Because, like, who's the lead in that movie? Who's the supporting role? Who's the villain? We don't even want to say. So it was a
Ooh,
tricky one. So that was part of the reason I'm like, fuck it, best performance. Uh,
yeah, they both.
David Johnson, who plays Andy from Alien Romulus, Naomi Scott, the lead character from Smile 2, David Mastacholi, David, whatever, the dude from fucking Late Night with the Devil, David Demi Moore from The Substance, Hugh Grant from Heretic, Lily Rose Depp, because I had to pick somebody from Nosferatu, and I guess
That's fair.
right, that's the right choice,
Yeah.
I feel. And then Micah Monroe from Longlegs, which I mean, I guess I could have put in a Nicolas Cage from Longlegs. I just felt like
No,
he wasn't in
I
the
think
movie enough. I could have put in Bill
yeah.
Skarsgård from Nosferatu, that's why I did the villain category.
No, you did it the right way because I it's a he is a character, but do we really get any character from him in Long Legs as opposed to
Right.
you know? So I think that was that's and the villain category definitely justified that. Um, damn it, that's
Let me
just
recap because that was a lot and a couple people just joined. So again, this is the final award of the night going for best performance. Micah Monroe from Longlegs, Lily Rose Depp from Nosferatu, Hugh Grant from Heretic, Demi Moore of The Substance, David Mastacholi or whatever the fuck his last name is from Late Night with the Devil, Justice Smith, who I think I skipped from I Saw the TV Glow, Naomi Scott from
strong
Smile
contender.
2, David Johnson played Andy in Alien Romulus, Willa Fitzgerald, Kyle Gallner from Strange Darling. So, what say you, my brother?
This is the hardest one, man.
It really is.
I'm trying to think of like the performances that resonated with me the most that had me like just thinking about him afterwards after we finished watching and discussing them.
I
Like
think
I
we're
will,
I think we're gonna have a hard time narrowing it down to one maybe because the chat is
yeah.
we already got a couple different from the chat, Evan saying he's got to go with Micah Monroe, and
That's
Sal saying
fair.
he's got to go with Demi Moore.
That's
I
fair.
respect the shit out of both.
Yeah.
Kyle Gallner was great too, Kyle said, or Evan says. I agree. Both those two in Strange Darling were phenomenal. But me personally, I can't give it to either one of those because there's other ones that like carried their movies. But those
Yeah.
two were fucking great performances.
And it's like, I love Hugh Grant, but it's like, I don't know if it was it's up there for a great performance of him, but I don't know if it was a game changer in his career like it was for Demi Moore. You know, like that was something we had never really. I mean, we never really seen him do that either. But he was playing more up to like a typecast in a way. You know, we expect that politeness. He was him with a twist. You know,
Yeah, he wasn't. Yes, yeah, exactly. He wasn't a. It was kind of dependent on the rest of his career. It worked
right.
so well
Yes,
because of what he'd done before that. I mean, not
exactly.
to take away from him. I don't
No, it
know,
was,
dude.
but
I'm
that's
still sitting here. I guess I'm kind of like you. I'm still fucking deciding
it's hard, bro.
myself, man.
Hmm. You know what? I got. You know what? If
Who's it between for you?
I would have. I'm trying not to be biased, but you know, because Strange Darling I loved, but it's like between those two, I don't think it really. If we would try to narrow it down, I don't think we could. I don't know, because is it from her point of view, like, or
Right.
is he? You know, I think it would be more from her point of view, but
I would kind of lean towards Kyle Gallner's performance, but it's you're
that
fucking
no,
splitting hairs in that one, man.
yeah,
It's really
no,
hard.
yeah, I feel that. No, I if I would have leaned towards one of the two, I lean towards him. But that once again, they did so well complementing each other. Where it's like I feel like something like The Substance, that was like Demi Moore really stepping it up and
Hmm,
putting on her back in a sense. Even though everyone did
totally.
fine, you know, she was very vulnerable in that role as a woman who's maybe 60 or pushing 60, and you know, encompassing that role as well as she
To
did.
say something like a downside of the substances, she's she's not in like a good chunk of the movie. Like
True.
for a moment, I was like, "Oh shit, is she not going to be in this
It's yeah,
fucking movie anymore?" And then she comes back. And don't get me wrong, it's a 2 hour movie. She does plenty in it. She's probably in it 3 or 4 times as much as Bill Skarsgård or Longlegs are in their movies. But
mm,
it is like Hugh Grant carries the movie in a way. Not that the
I
supporting roles aren't great, but he's in the movie more. It's almost more dependent on his performance. It's so dependent on his
that no,
performance.
that's a great point. You know, it's yeah, like when you really boil down Heretic, it sound if you describe this movie to someone, it probably sounds boring as shit. You
Yeah,
know, because
totally.
it is a lot of dialogue, and but when you actually watch it, it's very engrossing and engaging. You know what? I'm gonna let bias in this one. I shout out to Demi Moore. But you swayed me on this. Thank you. But I got Hugh Grant. Like you said, it is way more dependent on his character keeping you involved in the story and you wanting to see how this plays out. Where it's like she did do amazing, but Demi Moore wasn't the focus for a certain chunk of the film, and
Right.
you
Well,
know
here
the substance.
it's funny. Like I'm saying that, and I'm like kind of convincing you, and then I'm like, oh wait, maybe I don't even want to convince him. I don't know. Demi Moore, Demi Moore. Like, don't go
No,
there. But yeah, like I think to me, well, let's just let me ask you that: is it between Demi Moore and Hugh Grant for you? Is that the debate? Because I think for me, I
yeah,
think it is. There's other
yeah,
ones that I fucking loved,
yeah.
but to me, I think it's definitely I would have to go between those two. And here, let's read some comments because you guys are making good perform or comments. Sal says to be more for me, performance of a lifetime. Again,
Absolutely.
Ava picked Mike Monroe. Says Kyle Gallner was great. Frank Meeting Review says I'd say Willa Fitzgerald from Strange Darling, Demi Moore, or Naomi Scott. But you know, Naomi Scott, she did all that singing and dancing for the movie, so I think that is something that at least give her
Yeah.
credit for. I'm not gonna go that route because I even prefer the actress from Smile One a little bit more, her performance, just
I
like
thought you were yeah.
stylistically, it's what I like. It's
I
not
thought
as
you were gonna say
big from
sorry.
what?
I thought you were gonna say I prefer the singing and dancing from Trap a little bit more, but
Sal saying, I think because Demi Moore's performance seemed really personal, almost like autobiographical, which I
yeah,
appreciate that too.
yep,
Like she fucking put herself out there, like
yeah,
in so many ways. This is like she's dealing with these issues in a Hollywood. She's more or less like
That's
she added. It's kind of funny now that I think about it, because what I said about Hugh Grant's character in Heretic is it's dependent on us knowing his career before that. Not dependent, but it helps. It helps because we know his career before that. But really, Demi Moore, knowing that who she is, knowing that she is an A-list celebrity from Hollywood, that's really informing our experience for that movie too. So that's really interesting.
That, you know what, man? If I had to give an edge, I probably would give it to Hugh Grant just because Heretic caught me off guard. But if I could split it, because I think they both deserve it. You know, Demi Moore, I can't stress enough how vulnerable, like, because I want to do that shit at my age, you know, and I fucking had a whole Hollywood career where people have been criticizing and judging her.
Even you know what, having to know that like you've also got this super hot young version of you that like that's
and
the whole thing. And they're going and doing interviews together like, oh, she's the hot young one, you're the old one. What's that like? It's like fucking awkward. It took her way more balls to do her role than anybody else on the list.
Yeah, it takes like a level of confidence that, you know, Hugh Grant, they were both playing to typecast into a degree, but Hugh Grant was playing his shit with a twist where she was playing as like an archetype of like a previous sex symbol, you know, that it's like how that's a hard pill to swallow. Like, you're going to be playing this person who used to be hot. It's kind of indicative of your actual life because you're older now, you know, but you know,
and you're going to be naked.
Yeah, she looked amazing, mind you.
Here's the, because I'm kind of talking myself, as I feel like we both are, into Demi Moore. But here's the question, and I think the answer is Hugh Grant. Which one is more irreplaceable? I think you could find, I think like Courtney Cox, or maybe not Courtney Cox, like Julia Roberts could have done that. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of people that probably could have done it. The way, if people that haven't seen Heretic, like it's hard to explain just how fucking charming this guy is being. Like it's insane. You just want to sit on his lap and like, you know what I mean? Like eat milk and cookies with him.
Yeah, it's like he'll ask the most disturbing questions, and it's like you feel like you still owe him an answer because you're so polite about it. You know, like,
how about another one of your drum rolls as he's laying over this dead body? It's so crazy. It really, I mean, Sal's saying split best actor, best actress, which I considered, but I've never thought that made a whole lot of sense. Like, let the women, you know what I mean? It's the same fucking thing. Men and women, it's a performance.
All right, if I'm being biased, I would give it to Hugh Grant just because, like I said, I was impressed because I'd seen him try to play these slimy, swarmy roles a few years prior to this, and I was like, "What are you doing, Hugh Grant?" But in this, I was like, "Okay, I finally get it. I get it. You got a shot for it. You know." But before, I was like, "You're the nice guy." This one, I was like, "Okay, you're using that nice guy to lull us into a false sense of security." I like that, you know.
Right.
You made a strong point. I do think that even though Demi Moore gave a lifetime performance, I think you could that I don't want to. They might have brought the same thing to the table, but it almost could have been irreplaceable, or not irreplaceable, but replaceable with any other actress around her age, like a Julia Roberts.
I'm sitting here trying to think. Here's what I'm thinking. Not to cut you off, but like, it's hard. It could have been really bad if you put some fucking role. If it's like Kelsey Grammer in that role, he might have pulled it off. Kelsey Grammer might have pulled off the Hugh Grant role. Honestly, he could have probably done it. But you need someone like that, and it's rare. And it could have really been cheesy really fast.
Yes,
it could have just not worked like big time. I think there's more in the substance outside of that performance that's going to make that movie work no matter what. And that's kind of why. That's why I'm going to say for my final answer is Hugh Grant. And the chat, I want you guys just between Hugh Grant and Demi Moore. I feel like most of you in the chat are with Demi Moore, and that's great.
That's fair.
Let us hear it. Yeah, let us hear it. What just between those two? What do you guys think?
I like that though. They both gave fucking knockout performances, bro. But yeah, Hugh Grant really won me over, bro.
Is that who you're going with?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Hugh Grant, man.
Yeah. Well, I think the way our rules work. First of all, we want to hear what you say, chat, but it doesn't fucking matter because Hugh Grant wins the Bloodsie for best performance in a horror movie of 2024. Hell yeah. Let's recap the first annual Bloodsies Awards, which I don't know how I feel about that name. I just came up with it
I
on the
like that.
spot before we got
Yo,
earlier this morning. So it's what we got. And
I like that a
so
lot.
worst movie of the year. We both had a pick for this because we didn't all see the same shit. My man's Link went with Watcher, and I went with Salem's Lot. Best cinematography of the year. It was a tough choice between Strange Darling and Nosferatu, but with the chat's help, we went Nosferatu. Heretic gets best screenplay. Alien Romulus gets best popcorn movie of the year. Scariest film of the year was Terrifier 3. Best practical effects film of the year was The Substance. And kill of the year went to the Terrifier 3, the shower scene. I didn't write that one down. Glad I remembered it. How could I forget it? And performance of the year, once again, Hugh Grant. Tough choice between him and Demi Moore. They should be in fucking Smile 3 together next year. Smile 1943, starring Demi Moore, Hugh Grant. Hell yeah. My man's saying, I agree about Nosferatu, talking cinematography. Hell yeah, man. And then just real quick, Link's favorite movie of the year was Strange Darling, and mine was The Substance. So go again. If you're just joining us now, we just did a top 10. And again, every movie that we mentioned throughout the whole entire top 10 and most of the movies that we've talked about, period, we have full breakdowns on for damn near all one of them.
Shocking is that we both couldn't guess our number ones. I think it's something about being put on the spot, but it's like going into this, I kind of felt like Strange Darling was gonna be my number one, and then like you were leaning towards
Same.
Same. But it's like
I tried hard to not make The Substance my number one. You know what I mean? I was trying, or I guess that's the only other one. Terrifier 3 was up there for a minute because if I was fully going on which one I'm most like, I haven't bought The Substance yet. And that to me, like as a collector, that says a lot. I'm going to, but like Terrifier 3 was a pre-order day one. You know what I mean? It's like right away. I was like, duh, I'm definitely getting that. The Substance, I'm like, it's gonna be streaming. Like, is it important enough? Like, do I need it in my collection? I think I do. Right. I do. I want it. But Terrifier 3 was a no doubt. But let's wrap this up because we've been going 2 hours 11 minutes, and I gotta fucking piss, man. I got to go. So you guys in the chat are awesome. Chill out, man. Just joining us late, but I appreciate you, brother. Go back, watch the whole thing, share it with your friends. Call sign Mavericks channel. Appreciate you, brother. Sal, my homie, appreciate you as well. Frank's Media and Reviews. You are the shit. Evan, you're equally the shit. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate all you guys. D-Dog, yo son of a bitch. Jared Stark. Stu, the motherfucking Slayer. Up in this bitch. I appreciate you. Easy Dick. 9-panel grid, my homie. Appreciate you. 2 hours and 12 minutes. He's gone. I'd call him Easy Dick. Warren Smith, Kenneth Bird. I love you guys. You guys are the shit. Make sure you guys are coming back and hanging out with us on Thursday night. Fang Fest continues. We're on week 2 of 5 weeks of Vampire Talk right here on Blood Splatter Chatter. And I'm going to play you the Fang Fest intro on the way out just to get you excited. We're doing Dracula 1931 versus Dracula 1958, known in America as Horror of Dracula. Hell yeah. So be here for Thursday and Fang Fest continuing. Missing Link, I appreciate you. And we'll see you guys next Thursday.
Children of the night, what music they make.